Well, he's a good talker, good player, good goal scorer as well. Bayer Leverkusen against Newcastle, game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. And Alan Pardew, former Newcastle manager. Let's talk about Voltemade. You've already said how much you like him, and we've spoken earlier on the programme about Victor Gyökeres, and how he's kind of struggled to hit the ground running without being terrible. He's not been outstanding. Benjamin Sesko cost more than both of them, and he's not been brilliant for Man United. He's been injured as well. Voltemade, you could say, cost more than Gyökeres, but you could say he's been the best signing of the three.
Yeah, you could. I mean, £75 million, I think, sterling is a lot of money for a striker who hasn't really done it year after year after year. But, you're buying potential. And the way he's fitted in and the way that he plays, I think, is perfect for Newcastle. Isaac got a lot of joy last year from those two wide players, getting in behind defences and firing crosses, across that sort of 6-yard box. And, of course, being 6'8", he's got a long reach, and certainly in the air, if you get the delivery perfect, if you do it in the in-swinging corners, crosses, from either flank, and they're on the money, then he's going to score, because, you just can't compete with him. So I think he's a great fit for Newcastle, and as I say, the way he's settled in has been superb, and I think he's so key tonight. When you look at this game, I think it's a great game, because I think both teams have really got to go for it tonight. They really got to push for the win, and I think we're going to get a great game here.
Yeah, in terms of his height, Voltemade, does that sometimes change the way players play the game? They want to get aerial balls in, and maybe a bit more than perhaps the manager might like.
Yeah, there is that. That was Crouchy had that for years, because Crouchy had very similar sort of makeup to Voltemade in terms of the size of him, and but technically both of them are proficient. They can score goals, all sorts of goals, and technically into his feet, Voltemade, he's a threat from anything. Right? All the technical skills you need as a striker, he has. But the tendency is, of course, as you're quite right in saying, is maybe just to put too many aerial balls in there, and he's ends up challenging all night without getting a real sight of goal. So yeah, I think there is a balance. But I think this Newcastle team, it looks like they got their A team out tonight. The three midfield players who are absolutely exceptional, Tonali, Gamaras and Joe Linton. You'd like to think they can get a base of the game tonight and get the chances, get it wide to Gordon and Barnes, and the big man might profit.
In terms of results, that midfield three you've mentioned there, totally agree with you. Tonali is one of the best midfielders in world football. I've heard different views about Bruno Guimaraes and the qualities he has or doesn't have, and similarly Joe Linton, I think there's misgivings from some, but you believe in those three. But with those midfield three, if they're that good, how come the results have been a little inconsistent? Yeah, well, that is a sort of scratch in your head moment, I think, even for Eddie, because when I look at midfield trios, when you look at balance and you look at all the tools that you need, the defensive qualities and obviously offensive abilities, and taking the ball and slowing the game down, they have all of that. I mean, they look perfect for each other. They all balance off each other. They've played together now for a while, so they've got a nice understanding. I just think away from home sometimes they just lose their way as a team, and I'm not sure it's really central to the issue is in there. I don't think it is. And I think that's the real strength. And if this team is to make a real run in the Premier League and get up this and get in the qualifying 8 of this Champions League, so they don't play the knockout round, then it's going to be those three that are going to lead the charge. Alan, you've taken Newcastle on a long run in European competition. You and I have been abroad with Newcastle in the Champions League and witnessed the fans as well. How big a difference could those fans make in the Bay Arena tonight? No, well, they'll be really up for it, and of course all of Newcastle will be listening and watching tonight. It's a big game. You can't sort of underestimate how important this game is. When you got PSG away, as your last game in the Champions League, you want to get the job done. So they need to get something tonight. A draw for sure, but certainly I think they can chase for the win tonight. And a word on Harvey Barnes as well. He's got this World Cup question kind of still hanging over. A nice question, I guess, for Harvey Barnes, but he's certainly hit some form since the World Cup became a possibility. Well, Barnes has been one of those players that's sort of been on the fringes for a long while. When he was at Leicester, he had moments where you thought, oh, is he going to break in? And I think Newcastle the same. I think for him, he really needs to just nail down this position at Newcastle, make it his own, and then the England thing maybe will come his way. Do you think that in terms of the World Cup, is it that he wants to play for Scotland or he just wants to play at a World Cup?
Well, I think, it's like all things, isn't it? You want to play international football. And when there's a World Cup round the corner, there's nothing more exciting, is there?
Oh, absolutely right. We know all about that on Talksport every single game. And there's a lot of them from the World Cup next summer. Will be live across the Talksport network. Will be in North America for that World Cup, as we were in the States for the draw last week, as the teams make their way out onto the pitch in Germany. It is Bayer Leverkusen against Newcastle. Arsenal on Talksport 2 right now. Updates on Real Madrid against Man City to come. Updates from the Championship as well. After tonight, there's only 2 games left. Time running out to secure a top 8 place in this Champions League stage. Eddie Howe needs a result. Commentary here on Talksport of Bayer Leverkusen against Newcastle United with former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew alongside Jim Proudfoot.
Thank you, Adrian, and a very good evening to you. Well, it's easy to forget now how this has all unfolded for Newcastle. Just over 4 years ago, Eddie Howe came to the helm with the Geordies' second bottom of the Premier League and without a victory in 12. He then only won one of Howe's first 10. By the spring, the renaissance was well underway. Stayed up comfortably, then reached the top 4 and ultimately delivered that elusive, chronically overdue silverware. It was that day at Wembley that wrote Howe's place in Toon history. Tonight, he can become the first Newcastle boss since Sir Bobby Robson and just the 7th in the club's history to oversee 100 wins. And of the other 6, only Kevin Keegan has a better victory-to-game ratio. But it's taken the next step that is all important. Now, there was a sense of realism when the club was taken over, perspective at the scale of the overhaul that was needed. But I think there would have been an expectation at that stage, with the money involved, that Newcastle would now be established as a side who could have a degree of success in the Champions League. Tonight's a game that will be so informative as to where they are in that journey. Their last Champions League campaign ended in the group stage. This one almost certainly won't. Just a couple more points should see to that. But can they record a statement away win that will seriously enhance their hopes of going straight through to the last 16? It didn't come in Marseille, and the final away game in the group is in Paris. So did their impressive victory at Everton demonstrate that they found the remedy for their long-standing travel sickness? Today, we might well find out. This is how they line up. Ramsdale's in goal, Livramento, Chow, Byrne and Hall, Guimaraes, Tonali, Joelinton, Barnes, Voldemada and Gordon. And on the bench, Cher, Ilanga, Willock and Ramsey, Wissa, Miley, Jacob Murphy, Alex Murphy and goalkeepers Thompson and Harrison. Leverkusen have got Brentford old boy Mark Flecken in goal, Jarrod Quansah on the right of a back 3 along with Andrick and Tapsoba. Arthur and Grimaldo record at wing back, Mazza alongside former Man City youngster Alex Garcia in midfield, and Tillman, once of Rangers, plays alongside Pogu in support of Schick up front. Newcastle in their change kit of green shirts, white shorts. All the focus in the build-up to this game, particularly from the German media, has been on Nick Voldemada. But will his return to his homeland be a successful one for the Geordies and for him personally? Leverkusen in all black with red trim, and the Dutch referee gets us underway. Well, history will suggest Newcastle need 3 points for the knockout stages. 2 might be enough, but with PSG away to come, the 2 know that defeat tonight would really ramp up the pressure. I'm delighted to say that we're in the company this evening of Alan Pardew, former Newcastle boss. It's a decent achievement for Eddie Howe. 99 wins at the moment for the club.
Oh, absolutely. And, he has a really great team that have kind of huffed and puffed a little bit this year. But I do expect them to improve, particularly over the second part of the season after Christmas. So we'll see that this is a big game tonight and a tough agenda. Leverkusen are a good side. They've only lost once in the Champions League format so far this year. And at home, they're a very different prospect and a very difficult opponents tonight.
Yeah, the home record pretty tidy. With 4 wins from 7 games in the Bundesliga on home turf this season. The season started so bizarrely for them with Erik ten Hag in and then Erik ten Hag out in the blink of an eye. 3 games he lasted before being sacked. He's been replaced by Kasper Hjulmand at the helm, and that has been able to just calm things down and get Leverkusen back on an even keel. They're fourth in the Bundesliga at the moment. Newcastle in early possession. There's been an early goal in the Championship at Ashton Gate. Here's Ian Abrahams.
Bristol City 0, Leicester 0, but Leicester have a penalty. Jordan Ayew steps up and has scored. It was after Mavadimi had been brought down inside the penalty area. So it's Bristol City 0, Leicester 1, Jordan Ayew penalty.
Moose, thank you. This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Elsewhere in the EFL, Crewe have taken the lead at home to Basement Boys Newport in League 2. We played a couple of minutes in Leverkusen, 0-0 between Bayern and Newcastle United, with Leverkusen in possession, working it back for their captain Andrik, who will play to the Burkina Faso international Tapsoba. Back from him to the familiar figure of Mark Flecken in all orange tonight, but his ball fought through the midfield, not the best, seized upon by Joelinton, and then worked out towards the Newcastle right hand side, where the delivery from Harvey Barnes hits the nearest player, Grimaldo. Comes back out for Barnes. Quick exchange of passes with Bruno Guimaraes. Now back for Dan Burn inside the centre circle. Burn playing at centre half again tonight, with Hall recalled, and he's in possession. A wonderful performance from him in the game against Spurs a week ago. Bruno Guimaraes now just worked forward through the midfield. 10 yards ahead of him, Sandro Tonali. Back from him to the Brazilian, and then chipped out to the right-hand side for Livramento. Barnes lurking, Livramento in possession, just forced to go back for Burn, and he in turn will find Aaron Ramsdale behind him. 3 minutes gone, nothing really of consequence has unfolded. Still 0-0 here on Talksport.
Yeah, but a good start by Newcastle. You know, they've kept possession and trying to take the sting out of, you know, when you come to these big away games in the Champions League or anywhere in Europe, you know, you've got to try and kind of calm the crowd down and get them out of the equation. And Newcastle have done that quite well. Passed it, kept possession, not looked to kind of get down the sides yet. Just, you know, ticking over, just keeping possession away from Leverkusen. A good start.
In League One, Blackpool second bottom, 4 points off safety, but 2 up already away to Rotherham. And in the Champions League, victories earlier for Copenhagen and Villarreal, for Ajax at Karabag, their first points. And that's taken them off the bottom of the 36-team Mega League. It's 0-0 in all of the 8 o'clock kickoffs, including the game that we bring you live over on Talksport 2 right now, as Arsenal are in Belgium, away to Club Bruges. A choice of listening again, part of the festive 50 here on Talksport. 50 live games for you in December and next summer. All, and I mean all, of the action from the World Cup. Chow goes out to Tino Livramento on the Newcastle right, 4 minutes in at 0-0.
I mean, Leverkusen, you know, under Alonso, were a real pressing side, and the look of them tonight, they're almost giving Newcastle, you know, comfortable possession, which is a strange thing to do, to sort of just let the emphasis be taken by the away team. Unusual.
They had that extraordinary run under Alonso, where the first game they lost all season was in the Europa League final to Atalanta. They then ended up winning the German Cup as well as the league to do the double. This season they've already been beaten 4 times in 13 Bundesliga games, but still in the top 4 as a result of that. 5 minutes gone here with Voltemada heading it forward. Joelinton comes down for Gordon. We'll find out how City are getting on in the early stages in a moment, but Newcastle in decent possession here with Livramento finding Bruno Guimaraes, sweeps it out towards Harvey Barnes on the corner of the penalty area. Left-footed effort from him, and Flecken dives away to his left-hand side to make the save. 0-0 here, still 0-0 at the Bernabeu as well. Watching on Talksport's Mickey Gray.
Yeah, 5 minutes gone here, and City have just been given a huge lifeline. It was a penalty given. It was Vinicius Junior inside the area on Mateus Nunes. He went down to ground, but the referee had a look on VAR, and it was just seen to be outside of the area. From that free kick, Valverde's shot was deflected wide. Good start to the game here. Real Madrid 0, Manchester City 0.
And the first real glimmer of a scare for Newcastle as the through ball down the inside right channel tried to get Tillman away. And Malik Chow comes across and sweeps up. It causes Eddie Howe to furiously make notes on a small notepad with his biro. A few things that he wants to discuss at half-time about how easy it was for Leverkusen to play a ball 4 between the lines there, but good covering from Chow.
Yeah, that was definitely, you'd be writing down there, the centre half, do not go too tight. which he did there, and he got played round the corner, and then they tried to get in his pocket he'd come out of, and that was about their best chance in this opening period.
So here's Quansah coming forward for Leverkusen. The ball flicked off on the edge of the penalty area by Grimaldo, but just went straight through to the goalkeeper. He's a difficult player to pick up, Grimaldo, because he starts at left wing back, but you'll often see him where he was there, around the edge of the D, coming in and playing as a 10, and they sort of all gravitate around him. He's got a fine goal-scoring record this season for a player that plays in his position, and he's a set-piece specialist. They don't want to be giving cheap free kicks away within about 10 yards of the edge of the penalty area here in Newcastle, because that could be a key tonight. It was 7 minutes in, they've got a free kick of their own, which Hall's going to take, and he's still goalless.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'd expect the game to have a lot more tempo than this. This really started off very cagey. I mean, it's almost like one of those boxing bouts you get, you know, in the first couple of rounds where they're just feeling each other out and just seeing what they're up against. That's what it feels like at the moment.
Voltemade, just about his first touch of the night, trying to play the ball on the half turn out of the right-hand side for Livramento, who's been taking up some very advanced positions in these early stages. Just trying to follow Grimaldo in. Here's Voltemade, as Newcastle turned it over. His touch wasn't the best. Grimaldo comes back and is able to flick it off Joelinton, and it goes through to the goalkeeper.
Disappointing. That was a chance for Newcastle there. They got possession. They stole it over and come into the big fella, and his touch just let him down at a crucial moment.
Leverkusen coming forward again on the edge of the penalty area. Schick trying to turn and get a shot in. That was blocked. And Gordon comes back, wins it back, and then he is fouled by Mazza in the midfield to give Newcastle United a free kick. So what would your instructions be to Tino Livramento tonight? He's the one at right back who's facing Alex Grimaldo, but Grimaldo is drawing him out of position all the time, and Livramento deliberately following him, so which clearly must be an instruction to go with Grimaldo when he's making those runs from left wing back into the number 10 position.
Yeah, I think you know, there's always a tough call, that whether you want your fullback to stay at home and stay in his channel and let him run into the midfield area, but Eddie's gone differently with that. He's told Livramento to just follow him, and that makes a little bit of sense, because he is the danger man in this team.
So here's Arthur in possession for Bayer Leverkusen. It's 0-0 here on Talksport, and goalless on Talksport 2 with Arsenal, a much changed Arsenal team in Belgium away to Club Bruges. In fact, still goalless everywhere, including that Real Madrid-Man City game. 9 minutes in. Now possession with Leverkusen in Newcastle territory, but in a deep position. Andrick finding Alex Garcia. Former Manchester City youngster pings one out to Poku over on the Leverkusen left. He's controlled it just after it's gone over the touchline and out of play for a Newcastle United throw. If you're ready, do you take a point tonight, bearing in mind the situation in the group at large?
I think you do, because I just think that Leverkusen are just such a difficult nut to crack at home. So I think you would take the point, but you know, the team that he's got out, Eddie, tonight, I'm pretty expecting him to get that 100th win. And why not? You know, they've started well here, and if I was Eddie, I'd be pleased. They've taken a little bit of sting out of the game and created a couple of moments.
Yeah, if Newcastle do get a draw tonight, they would have 10 points and Leverkusen 9 at the end of the evening. I think that realistically would mean that Newcastle be in a playoff place. It would certainly be a massive step in the right direction, albeit that it's only a point. They probably only need one more, but it conversely would mean that they'd have to go to PSG and win if they were going to stand any realistic chance of being able to make it into the top 8. So a difficult one. Guimaraes giving a free kick away for a pull of the shirt. It's a free kick that Leverkusen have taken on halfway. Finding Andrick, who's playing at centre half, sent off against PSG on match day 3, a game that the Parisians won 7-2 against Leverkusen. Here's Tapsoba. He can turn it out towards Poku. He's coming in off the left-hand touchline. Player that can play at left wing back. He can play as an inside forward and kind of sort of it keeps his position to give Grimaldo the license to roam around the edge of the penalty area. That's how he's featuring tonight. Ball played here towards Hall, who is able to poke it away from the on-rushing Arthur. Goes out though for a Leverkusen throw, taken Back to Gerald Kwanzaa. Now down towards Mazza in the midfield. Back from him to Andrich. And inside the centre circle, another opportunity for Bayer Leverkusen to bring it forward. Patrick Schick is waiting around the edge of the penalty area. Chow's clearance hit Grimaldo. It bounces towards Tillman, who's way back to his feet. He went down very easily. The referee takes evasive action as Andrich sweeps one out to the left for Poku. It's a good spell of pressure, this from Bayer Leverkusen. Schick waiting in the middle. Poku's ball in. Little layoff from Tillman. And rifle towards goal from Andrich, but blocked before it. Really made too much progress inside the penalty area. Now Poku gets towards the byline, tries to pull it back. And I think Leverkusen get a corner. They would have wanted more than that. Tillman making a darting near post run. But the defending was good enough. 12 gone, 0-0, first corner of the night to the hosts.
Yeah, best bit of play from Leverkusen. And, they worked it well. And Newcastle got a little bit too deep, really. And some nice little interplay between Poku and Tillman and Sheikh. And they almost prized them open. But they have a nice opportunity now. They have their first corner down their end.
In the Championship, Hull taking the lead at home to Wrexham. Kyle Joseph's 4th goal of the season. Hull, who've slipped up a bit recently. They've lost 4 of the last 6. Home to a Wrexham side unbeaten in 7, but it's the Tigers with the early advantage there. Here's this first corner of the night then. Taken from the Leverkusen left. Swept in. Ramsdale, no, they can't attack it. And it's headed by Andrich into a Newcastle player and over the line. First set piece. And Newcastle United are undone. Andrich with the header. I'm sure it will go down as an own goal. But it matters not. Newcastle United trailing by a goal to 0.
Well, they should have done so much better there. I mean, that was their first little bit of pressure from Leverkusen. They get a corner. It swung really, really deep round the back. And Andrich has just pulled to the back. And he's got a one-on-one. I think it's Tonali. And Tonali just can't compete with him. And he's out-muscled him. And he looks like he's headed it on the back of Grimaldes. And it's bounced over the line. And unfortunately for Newcastle, they've got it all to do now. You don't want to concede an early goal in the first 15 minutes, and that's exactly what they've done.
Well, it wasn't great marking. It wasn't a great header either, truth be told, because he had a fair bit of the goal to aim at the near post, and he's headed it square, but it's come off the glutes of Bruno Guimaraes. He knew nothing about it, and then it's just deviated the flight of the ball past Ramsdale's despairing right hand. And 13 minutes in, it's Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0. And the Geordies, who've struggled away from home this season, only 2 wins in their 9 games in all competitions. And they find themselves behind. It's the first time in the last 12 games that they haven't gone 1-0 up. Tonight, they're chasing, and they haven't got a single positive result in matches all season when they have conceded the first goal. That has to change tonight. 1-0 to Bayer Leverkusen.
It's never a good start, that, is it? You want to have that kind of bounce back ability in your team. When you have that stats against you, that's not good. So they've got a lot to do here.
You're listening to Leverkusen against Newcastle in the Champions League. It's live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Jim Pravda and Alan Pardew talking you through the action. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 0 with a Bruno Guimaraes own goal on 13 minutes. Let's find out what's been going on in the Bernabeu. Real Madrid against Manchester City. Watched by Mickey Gray.
Still Real Madrid 0, Manchester City 0. But City just starting to grow into the game after a little bit of a slow start. Still waiting for their first opportunity on the Real Madrid goal. But 2 big chances for the home side. Still Real Madrid 0, Manchester City 0.
The Leverkusen goal, the only goal in the 8 o'clock kickoffs in the Champions League. Earlier, Karabakh 2, Ajax 4, and Villarreal 2, Copenhagen 3. In the Championship tonight, Bristol City 0, Leicester 1, Ipswich 1, Stoke 0, Hull 1, Wrexham 0. Derby against Millwall is goalless. Blackpool 2 up at Rotherham in League 1, and Crewe and Walsall ahead in their respective games in League 2, with the leaders, the Saddlers, hoping to go 4 points clear tonight, and Daniel Kahn, who's given them the lead at Oldham. Here's Bruno Guimaraes out of the right-hand side of the Leverkusen penalty area to find Harvey Barnes cutting in onto his left foot, but he didn't really get hold of the shot, and Flecken can make a comfortable save diving at his near post.
Yeah, that's twice now Barnes has come on the inside of his fullback quite easily, actually, and got shots off, but he just hasn't caught both of them, and they've both just gone through to the keeper with comfortable saves. But again, a turnover from Leverkusen. They're taking risks, and Newcastle, if they keep pressing like this, they might be able to nick something.
He's had a good start of the season, Harvey Barnes. 9 goals from last year, 7 already this time around, including 4 in his last 4 Champions League ties. He scored in Marseille. He's come off the bench and scored another 3. And 2 of those in a game that we brought you live here on Talksport against Benfica. Tonali finding Hall, and he's coming to a central position here. Voltemade playing with his back to the direction of play again. And just holds it up, lays it down for Joelinton, to Barnes, and out to the mustachioed Livramento, coming in from right back into Voltemade. And then it goes back to Joelinton. He can't get it to stick, and an opportunity for Leverkusen to bring it away. They do so, but lose possession just as quickly. Won back well by Guimaraes. Coming in off that right flank is Barnes. Play forward towards Livramento. Gets to the byline. Stands it up towards the penalty spot. Gordon going up for it. It was relatively unconvincing defensive header from Mazza. But they were able to clear. And then as the ball is worked forward, Dan Burns given a free kick away. 1-0 to Leverkusen with the Bruno Guimaraes own goal.
Yeah, but not a bad reaction from Newcastle, considering they've just conceded that from a set play, which is always disappointing. As a team, it kind of, hurts you mentally because you work on, that's the one thing you really do work on in terms of stopping the opposition score. So to have your first corner and concede, but this reaction's been good. They're pressing away. They look like they want to try and get back in it because that is the agenda now. They've got to chase the game a little bit.
So just to reiterate the situation in the group, Newcastle starting the night 15th. You need to finish in the top 24. That's the minimum requirement. You want to finish in the top 8, but top 24 is the be-all and end-all to make sure that you're still playing European football in February in the knockout stages. 11 points and a half-decent goal difference should get you there. And Newcastle's goal difference will be fine in this competition because of the couple of big wins that they've had. So 11 points will be all right. But if they were to lose this, and bearing in mind they got PSG away on match day 8, it really means they're going to have to beat PSV at home in the 3rd week of January on match day 7. That's their next Champions League tie. And it would not quite be all on that because they'd have the safety net of the trip to the Parc des Princes. But the reality is, with PSG away to come, they might have to beat PSV at home. Now, you don't want anything to be a must-win fixture. Guimaraes knocking it forward. Looking for Barnes in the inside right channel, but well cleared by Tapsoba. And then helped on towards Poku by Schick. And Poku will run at Malik Thiaw, who's just deferentially backing off him towards the edge of his own penalty area. Ball play back towards Grimaldo. Then Schick, the Czech international striker who's scored nearly 90 goals for Leverkusen at a rate of almost exactly one every other game. Back from him to Tapsoba. To Grimaldo. Mazza showing short for the square ball in the midfield, and it's just played in his direction now. Back for Tapsoba again. Andrich 5 yards inside his own half. Another opportunity for Tapsoba, who was a part of that Leverkusen invincible side in the Bundesliga a couple of years ago. It has been quite a changed team since then. Players that made their name in that side playing the length and breadth of the continent these days, just a couple of years on. Newcastle at the moment just can't get a touch of the ball. It's good effortless ball retention from the hosts. Mazza playing it forward inside the centre circle. All of a sudden they can get it forward here to Malik Tillman. Continue the run. Schick inside the area, brought down. Penalty. Malik Thiaw with the challenge. It must be close to being outside the box. And the VAR will have a look at the exact geography of the situation. But Schick got goal side of Thiaw, was barrelled over. And the referee's on-field decision, at least initially, is a penalty.
Yeah, well, Leverkusen worked that really well. They kind of lulled Newcastle in. So they just passed it. It was almost like they was going nowhere. Newcastle come to press, and then they just played through them quite simply. And then it went into Thiaw. And he was in. He got himself a pocket between the centre half and the fullback. And his touch, it's very, very tight. Very tight. I mean, we're looking at a replay again. The first interaction is almost on the line. And the rest of the action takes place in the box. This is going to be a tough one to call.
Yeah, I think the contact Well, I don't know. I mean, you have a look at one angle and then you see something that looks to disagree with it. But it looked to me as that Chow is shown a yellow card for the foul, as though the contact did continue inside the penalty area.
Yeah, he definitely has his arm on him as he enters into the D part of the box. And I think that's hopefully what they're going to give it for, because that means that the free kick will be out on the outside of the box. But I'm not exactly sure what the on-field decision is. Is it a penalty, I think?
Well, I think that the on-field decision, he seemed to point to the spot, so I think he's given a penalty, but I mean, there's no doubt it was a foul.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just a question of having a look to see where the contact started. I think you and I both agree that was outside the box, and whether it continued over the white line. It's only got to get to the white line. That counts as the box. And the Dutch referee, Sir Agus Buyuk, is just indicating to all and sundry that he is in consultation with his VAR, Rob Dieperink, who is having a look at the pictures, and they're making the decision as to exactly where it is. I think it is going to be a free kick. Yeah,
he's changed the VAR have obviously got into him and said the first contact was outside. So he's now got free kick on the edge of the box, which is, wow, that is a sign of relief for Newcastle.
Well, at least a temporary one. But Alex Grimaldo stands over it, and he is a set-piece specialist. Another look at the replay suggests that the hand from Chow, which was on the right shoulder of Schick, he was just bringing it away as the two players across the line. Rob Dieperink must decide that there is no concrete evidence that there was still contact when the players travelled over the white line, but it's mighty close, and Newcastle will consider themselves fortunate. The free kick is, well, should be right on the edge of the penalty area. He's moved it a couple of feet back. Ramsdale's got 5 in his wall. He's then got another 2 next to that wall and 1 behind it. Grimaldo chipping it in just way over the bar. An innocuous one, led off for Newcastle. It's still just 1-0 to Leverkusen.
Wow, I mean, that is a big let off for Newcastle, because actually when you look at that replay again, the contact that he actually makes, Chow, isn't significant really when he's on the outside of the box. It's like almost most of it happens when it's inside the box. So they count themselves really fortunate that the VAR have overturned that, and obviously the free kick has come to nothing. So instead of being 1-0 down on a penalty, possibly 2-0 down, we're still just with a 1 goal.
I will be back around the grounds very shortly, with Benfica now leading Napoli 1-0 for Richard Rios in the Champions League, and Julian Brandt has given Dortmund the lead at home to the Norwegian side at Boda Glimt. Leverkusen in possession at the back with Tap Sober. And let's catch up with events over the last few minutes at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid, Man City in front of Mickey Gray.
Still Real Madrid, Manchester City 0, Real Madrid 0. But Real Madrid have had the better opportunities in the game. Just came close a couple of minutes ago through Rudiger. A wide free kick put into the 6-yard area. Rudiger's header just went wide of the post. Man City still really struggling in that final third. Erling Haaland has touched the ball once in the first 24 minutes of this game. Real Madrid 0, Man City 0.
Newcastle in possession midway inside the Leverkusen half as we go to Ashton Gate. Ian Abrahams.
Still Bristol City 0, Leicester 1. Jordan Ayew's penalty, but Leicester hit the bar with a Mavididi header. Cam Pring has just headed over Bristol City. Bristol City 0, Leicester 1.
And at Pride Park, Derby Millwall, Jeff Peters.
It's still goalless here. Femi Aziz has struck a post for Millwall. Ivanovic with a goal rightly disallowed for offside. Ajermang's header wide for Derby, and Crocombe has made a fine save from Elder's long-range rocket. Derby 0, Millwall 0.
And if Millwall don't get the victory there, Ipswich hoping to take advantage, and in the box seat to do so. Mike Sewell.
They certainly are. Ipswich 1, Stoke City 0. The goal scored inside 2 minutes by Jayden Philodine. A wonderful finish from 20 yards out. But it led us into a false sense of security, because we haven't seen a great deal of action since. Stoke have had a couple of chances, but it remains Ipswich 1, Stoke 0.
And Arsenal have just taken the lead against Club Brugge live on Talksport 2. It's Bruges 0, Arsenal 1. Bruno Guimaraes to take a free kick for Newcastle, and it's in keeping really with Newcastle's performance so far. Overhit, just bounced once inside the penalty area and was easily cleared. They had a half-decent reaction for 2 or 3 minutes in the immediate wake of the Bruno Guimaraes own goal, but it's not been a vintage Geordie's performance in any shape or form yet, Alan.
Not really, no. I mean, you know, they'd done the first part of the game okay. The first 8-9 minutes, they'd, you know, kept the ball, and it didn't look a lot of tempo about Leverkusen, but, you know, they haven't really threatened at all. They've got in some good areas. The crosses and the shots at the moment from Newcastle have been poor.
It's Noni Madueke that has scored that goal for Arsenal, incidentally. Bruges 0, Arsenal 1. That would take them up to 18 points. They've already qualified for the knockout stages with the 15 points that they've got. 18, I'm sure, will end up being enough for a top 8 finish. I can't really conceive that it won't be. It's Poku bringing it forward here for Leverkusen. He was given a shove by Tonali. And then Poku's touch, as he just looked up to survey his options, ran away from it. Tonali winning it back. And Bruno can bring it forward. And he sweeps it out towards Anthony Gordon on the Newcastle United left. Coming forward into Bayer Leverkusen territory. It's Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 0. After Andrik's header deflected off Bruno Guimaraes for an own goal about a quarter of an hour ago. Gordon again towards the edge of the penalty area, finding Tino Livramento. Livramento's ball out towards Barnes. Barnes with an opportunity to run at Grimaldo. He's passed the ball inside. Guimaraes looking to try and thread it into the penalty area for Voltemada. Then Byrne is up to join the Newcastle attack, and Schick comes back to defend. So Newcastle have lost their defensive shape as Leverkusen turn it over, and they will try and get it forward quickly. Schick making a run. Byrne is now back in position. They're running at Malik Chow. Right-footed effort that Ramsdale can save, diving away to his left-hand side. But when they get the ball forward, Leverkusen, they do so with speed and with real venom. That was a decent effort from Mazza, but comfortably saved in the end.
Yeah, but Leverkusen have been absolutely brilliant when they've defended. And when they turn it back, they just get 3 or 4 really tight little passes on the edge of the box so that their wide players can spring them out. Then they find a pass to a wide player and they're gone. And Newcastle were caught there. That was almost a 3-on-3 situation. And they, you know, they don't want to be seeing that when you're away from home. The home team breaking on you and you're finding yourself with numbers short.
They shut up well, Mazza, in the early stages. He's only 20, an Algerian international. And testing Ramsdale there. Leverkusen leading Newcastle 1-0. Arsenal leading in Belgium. And the deadlock broken in Spain. Mickey Gray.
28 minutes on the clock. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 0, and it's come from Rodrigo. Good play from Jude Bellingham in the build-up play. Plays it out to the right side. Rodrigo gets to the edge of the 18-yard area, fires it low underneath Donnarumma to give Real Madrid the lead. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 0.
Plenty of speculation about his future, and I think I'm right in saying that's his first goal of the season, but Real Madrid leading City by a goal to 0. They've only won 2 of the last 7 in League and Cup. Ball played by Andrik back to his goalkeeper Mark Flecken. Not too hard, and it was a good job that it wasn't, because he inexplicably let the ball run underneath his right foot, and then hastily had to retrace his steps to be able to control it and spare his blushes.
Yeah, he got caught himself out there, and a bit unfortunate for Newcastle. If they had had a player around, he might have put him under pressure, but he's got away with it.
Paul's defending good enough to win a throw off Arthur on the Newcastle United left as another goal goes in at Ashton Gate in front of Ian Abrahams.
Bristol City 0, Leicester 2. Bobby Decordova-Reid with the goal. Ball pulled back from the right byline and he swept it beyond the goalkeeper. Bristol City 0, Leicester City 2.
Doubling their lead against his hometown club, Bobby Decordova-Reid, as the ball is on the Newcastle United left with Gordon, and Arthur blocks the cross, and Newcastle have their first corner of the night. And Leverkusen scored from their one and only corner. So Gordon winning this one, an opportunity to get a decent delivery inside that penalty area as the Geordies try and get themselves back on level terms. And there was an exuberant celebration from Arthur that I would suggest is slightly out of keeping with the quality of the defensive block that he perpetrated.
Yeah.
It was a double fist pump towards the crowd, didn't he? Just. Corner then that Bruno will stand over for Newcastle from their left, in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and it causes real problems before being poked wide, I think, by Voltemada. Wow. And into the hoardings and out for a goal kick.
It was another great ball. Obviously, he scored from a corner at the weekend, Grimaldes, and he's a brilliant ball. It looks to me like it hit Gordon. Wasn't sure. But as it's bobbled around, it could have gone anywhere, and Voldemar had a little stab at it. Unfortunately, he just couldn't get enough on it. It was a real opportunity.
Just went about 6 inches the wrong side of the post, and Flecken might have been struggling a little had it been on target. Probably would have been able to make the saves. 1-0 to Bayer Leverkusen. This will be Newcastle's third Champions League defeat of the campaign. Started off with a home reverse against Barcelona, but they were brilliant in the first 25 minutes of that game, but couldn't find a way through. Ended up losing to a Marcus Rashford-inspired Barcelona, and then they lost after 3 consecutive wins at Marseille last time out. They can't afford back-to-back defeats. Half-time whistle's beginning to blow in the games in the EFL. And it is half-time at Pride Park. Here's Jeff Peters.
Derby 0, Millwall 0. 2 big chances for the visitors. Cooper's header cleared off the line by Ward. Informed Femi Aziza struck the woodworkers for Derby. Elder's vicious effort from distance saved by Crocombe. And Ajamanga's headed just wide. Hasn't been a classic. Derby 0, Millwall 0.
And half-time as well in the West Country in Abrahams.
Bristol City 0, Leicester City 2, Jordan Ayew from the penalty spot, and then Bobby De Cordova-Reid against a club where he spent 7 years. He didn't celebrate the goal. At half-time, Bristol City 0, Leicester 2.
Yeah, will be their 4th win in 6 if they can hold on to... if they can hold on to that advantage that they've garnered. Leverkusen leading Newcastle here by a goal to 0, with Anthony Gordon in possession and able to venture back into Leverkusen territory, dropping his shoulder, taking on Malik Tillman, getting the ball inside the 6-yard box. It was just nodded away before it got as far as Voldemada. Snapped forward again by Sandro Tonali, out to Barnes. Barnes into the feet of Livramento, but Tapsoba can come back and easily turn to bring the ball away on the left-hand side of his own penalty area. Get it forward over halfway. It was just a question of clearing his lines and allowing the defence to reset. Newcastle will turn and bring it back again.
Yeah, a good bit of play down on this left-hand side. Gordon had just won the corner, which they nearly scored from. Took on his fullback again and actually got his left foot crossing, which was a really high quality. Unfortunately, he just couldn't find the big man. He was just out of position. But nice moments from Gordon. And because the game, it needs someone like Gordon to lift this game. I mean, Newcastle do look a little bit flat.
In terms of the stats at the moment, possession is marginally in Newcastle's favour. And they've had 4 shots each. But it is that Bruno Guimaraes own goal that's still the difference between the two. It came 20 minutes ago with an Andrick header that bounced off his backside and past Ramsdale. Here's Flecken inside his own penalty area, and he gets it away. We've got more live football for you tomorrow. 3 live European games as Villa go to Switzerland to take on Basel here on Talksport at 8 o'clock in the Europa League. Another ball inside the penalty area that Voldemada was just there to attack, and it was knocked away by Andrick. Got 2 games for you tomorrow over on Talksport 2. Utrecht against Nottingham Forest, and then Palace's trip to Ireland to take on Shelbourne. Those games kicking off at 5:45 and 8 respectively on Talksport 2 tomorrow. Lewis Hall's got the ball in his hand. An opportunity to launch it inside the penalty area. Ipswich ahead at half-time at Portman Road. We'll get details in a moment. Hall, the blonde-haired left-back, lifelong Newcastle fan. Long throw flicked inside the penalty area, trying to find Voldemada from Burns' touch. It's cleared out as far as Gordon. He works it back towards halfway, where Ramsdale, about 10 yards inside his own half by the time it gets to him, he'll just bring it under control and knock it forward towards the yellow-booted Tonali. Hall has it now, trying to turn, and he's just put the ball straight out of play for a throw. So we'll go to Portman Road. Ipswich ahead. Mike Sewell.
Ipswich 1, Stoke 0. It took 105 seconds for Jayden Philogene to execute a superb 20-yard curler to bring much of Portman Road to its feet. But a bit like an underwhelming Christmas present, the rest of the half failed to live up to the blistering start. Ipswich 1, Stoke 0.
Says a man who sounds like he's received a few. Ball with Livramento, and he's deflected towards his own goal. Flecken was able to get a hand to it to knock it away. And it could have been an own goal at either end. That's a smart save.
Yeah, nice overlap by Livramento. He got on the outside of Barnes and he played him in, and a great little cross. And the defenders cut it out, but he cut it out towards his own goal. And the goalie's had to make a decent stop, to be fair. And now we've got a corner on that left-hand side.
Just diving away to his left, and got a strong left hand to beat it round the post for a corner, which is Newcastle's second, as they look for an equaliser. Hall to take it, so it's going to be an in-swinger from the Newcastle right into the very congested 6-yard box, where it bypasses everybody and goes out of play for a goal kick. Let's go back to the Bernabeu. Real Madrid, Manchester City. Mickey Gray.
Well, we've had the equaliser. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 1, and it's come from Nico O'Reilly. City win a corner on the left-hand side, play to the far post, and Guardiola gets his head on target. It's saved by Courtois, and Nico O'Reilly from 2 yards out slots the ball into the back of the net. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 1.
Second of the season for Nico O'Reilly. City on 10 points at the start of the night. Real Madrid on 12. And so City still with an outstanding chance of a top 8 finish, particularly if they can pick up a positive result tonight. Newcastle working forward again. Bruno Guimaraes looking for Voltemade with a ball in from Barnes. Voltemade maybe just a little on his heels, and Andrick, the bearded defender, able to get it away. German international back in the day. Livramento with the ball in his hands. Just
he's had there's been 3 crosses where Voltemade could have done better, actually. He's just been a bit slow in his reaction and not quite got across the defender. If he can just get that right, he'd give himself a chance.
So Livramento to take this throw. Archies the back, hurls it in towards the near post. Off the top of Dan Burns' head. Joelinton. Andrick climbing over him to get it away, and then very calmly steers a header back for Mark Flecken. Half-time in League One. Rotherham 0, Blackpool 2. And in League 2 at the break, Crewe 1, Newport 0, Oldham 0, Walsall 1. The one outstanding EFL game is still in the first half is Hull 1, Wrexham 0 with Kyle Joseph's early goal. Bayer Leverkusen are in possession with 7.5 minutes to go to half-time. You're listening to Leverkusen Newcastle in the Champions League. It's live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Eddie Howe just formulating his team talk and how he might approach this with 7 minutes to go to the break. What's he thinking?
Well, I'd certainly want to see a bit more energy if I was Newcastle manager tonight. You know, I think they've been okay. I wouldn't say it's been a poor performance, but it's just lacked something. And, you know, the away form that Newcastle are on at the moment, that's what they look like. They look like a team devoid of confidence in terms of some of the positions they've been getting themselves. Good possession, they tick it over nicely, they get into wide areas, but they're just not penetrating. And then there's been a couple of times on the turnover where Leverkusen have caught them out. You know, if you was to put money, it would be a breakaway goal for Leverkusen at the moment.
Here's Bruno Guimaraes bringing it forward for Newcastle. Plays it out towards Tino Livramento. Livramento back towards Barnes. Barnes coming towards the edge of the penalty area. Now Guimaraes trying to whip it in with pace, but he didn't get any elevation. Here's Chow, who came within a matter of inches of giving a penalty away, which would have given Leverkusen the opportunity to make it 2-0. Hall can play it forward. Comes down towards Gordon. Gordon coming in off the left flank. Checks. Trying to commit Gerald Kwanzaa into making a challenge. Doesn't do so. Ball play back towards Chow again. Chow out of the Newcastle right. They've very quickly changed the direction of the attack here. Harvey Barnes dropping his shoulder. Grimaldo not committing himself. That forces Barnes to go back down the right-hand side for Livramento. Poke forward intelligently. Back into the right-hand side of the midfield. Bruno Guimaraes continues his run. Livramento has the ball. Back from him to Barnes. Chow. Tonali, who they haven't been able to get into possession as much as they would like, Newcastle United. And Tonali back for Chow again. Now out on the right-hand side for Barnes. It's very patient from Newcastle, able to string the passes together with 5 to go to half-time, but not making too much headway with it. They're still inside the centre circle. As Byrne goes right for Chow again. Yeah,
Leverkusen are kind of just really set up quite deep and quite comfortable for Newcastle to have decent possession. And then when it gets close to the box, they come alive a little bit, Leverkusen, and win it back. And that's been the story, really, of the first half.
The camera a few moments ago panned to Rudy Voller, who sat in the crowd, a player who modelled himself on Nick Voltemade during his career with the barnet and the facial hair, or the other way around. Here's Gordon knocking into his right hand side for Bruno Guimaraes. 1-0 to Bayer Leverkusen. Now Tonali to Barnes, making a run out towards the edge of the Leverkusen penalty area, but as soon as he receives the ball, he makes One of those curving runs away. It's played back to him in a better position to put in a decent cross that almost falls for Joelinton. It's cleared though in front of him by Arthur. And out of play for a throw. Newcastle still the dominant force in terms of the possession and actually increasing their advantage by a couple of percentage points over the last 5-6 minutes, but not making too many inroads inside that penalty area. They'll come again with Barnes. Flick back to him, but cut out by Mazza, and the Algerian can bring it away and then clip it left-footed down the touchline for Poku's run. He's got pace, but Tonali has come back and has been able to mop up very effectively.
Yeah, that's definitely, I think, how this second half's going to start panning out when we get into it. Leverkusen very, very deep, quite comfortable, letting Newcastle have possession. And as Newcastle turn it over in Leverkusen's last third, they look to break, and they tried to do it just then, and it was a good opportunity, but Tonali snuffed it out. They're going to have to be on their guard here for Newcastle.
Newcastle trailing, live over on Talksport 2. Arsenal are winning in Belgium, and it's one apiece between Real Madrid and Manchester City coming up to half-time here on Talksport. Free kick's gone against Dan Burn, who's in quite vehement discussion with the referee about the decision. There just hasn't been too much to write home about. Mark Flecken's made one half-decent save, and that was to prevent an own goal.
Yeah, they've just not really had a great moment, Newcastle. It's just been, like painting by numbers in a way, the game for them. They need some sort of spark from somebody.
Werder Klimt have equalised the Westfalenstadion against Borussia Dortmund. It's 1-1 there. And Werder, who almost certainly won't be in the knockout stages. It's very difficult with only 2 points from 5 games to plot an exit route to be able to make it into the top 24. They're probably going to have to win all 3, but they've equalised at Dortmund tonight. 1-1 with Haitham Alisami scoring the goal. It's Jarrod Quansah, one-time Bristol Rovers loanee, who takes the throw over by Leverkusen at the right-hand touchline. Looking for Tillman. Now to Poku, and they will try and break quickly. Schick making his way through the middle, but they've released Poku, who's got Schick to his right-hand side. He's inside the area, and Ramsdale can beat a rising drive away. Joelinton turning it forward. Newcastle get it away, and the ball is on the spot at the Bernabeu. Mickey Gray.
It certainly is, and Erling Haaland is just a step up for Man City to take it, and he slots it into the back of the net. It was a foul on Erling Haaland from Rudiger, from a ball from the left-hand side, Nico Riley. Erling Haaland picked up the ball, puts it on the penalty spot, and just slots it into the back of the net for his 6th Champions League goal of the season. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2.
6 in the Champions League, 15 besides, so it's 21 for Manchester City this season, and a stack of goals for Norway to boot. 2-1, Manchester City leading at the Bernabeu, away to Real Madrid, and that would leave them leading only 3 points in the last 2 games to, we expect, guarantee a top 8 finish. But what a chance that was a few moments ago, and this Bayer Leverkusen-Newcastle match, away to the right-hand side, again breaking quickly, and Newcastle falling into the same traps.
Yeah, just overcommitted. They're waiting for Newcastle to overcommit, and then they pounce, and they're really quick on the counter-attack. It wasn't the greatest of shots, and it was an easy save for Ramsdale, but it was a great opportunity for Leverkusen. And it really is going to be the blueprint, I think, for the second half. It's interesting, Michael Gray saying that the big man had only had 1 touch, and I thought, he's probably going to score in a minute. Yes.
Yeah, something we were talking about last night, and referencing Alexander Isak, the fact that he had so few contributions. But it's the modern way, isn't it? Erling Haaland only has 3 touches a half, but if 2 of them go in, you make yourself a hero, and they'll be building statues after you. We'll be into 2 minutes of added time at the end of this first half. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0, on a night that Flecken has had 3 saves to make, only one of them being a difficult one. Voltemada has toe-poked an effort from a scramble in the 6-yard box just wide. Flecken's most difficult save being to deny an own goal. The goal that has been scored by Bayer Leverkusen came the same way, with an Andrick header that hit Bruno Guimaraes and went past the despairing dive of Ramsdale. Arthur Chasing down the right-hand side, and has kept it in as well. Well, at least the assistant referee has said he has. Played it inside the penalty area for Kwanzaa, and that was close. Rising drive that Ramsdale got a finger to help over the bar. It's a good save to deny Leverkusen a second in first half stoppage time.
Wow, I mean, that's a great save. I think he saved that. I mean, it's a long ball over the Hall's head in the left-back position, and then he's just played it inside to Kwanzaa, who's got a great strike on it. And Ramsdale, really strong left hand, has pushed it away for a corner. Yes, what a save that is. And it's kept Newcastle in it.
Fine stop. He only scored 3 goals in English football. That would already have been his third since signing for Bayer Leverkusen, had that gone in. Now Leverkusen scored from their first corner of the night. Here's their second. Last action of the first half. Swung it again to the edge of the 6-yard box, and it took a header from Voltemada. Not the angle that he intended. I think he was trying to clear it upfield. It's come off the top of his blonde head and gone out of play for another corner, which there's barely time to take from the Bayer Leverkusen left. One more set piece to repel for Newcastle to ensure that they're only one adrift at half time.
I mean, Newcastle look a bigger side. They're just not coping very well with these 2 corners that they've had conceded.
Byrne trying to keep an eye on Schick, and the referee is keeping an eye on the pair of them. Blows his whistle and now goes across and is indicating that that's the second time that all of that has been going on. There's a big grin on Byrne's face as he eyeballs Schick. Joelinton and Andrick were heavily involved as well. That probably is what the referee took more exception to. And they're still at it as the corner comes in, and Voldemar heads that away. And it's a free kick that has been given Newcastle's way. That's going to be that, I would imagine, for the first half as soon as the free kick is taken. But Newcastle trailing by a goal to nil, and just haven't been at their best. It has been a performance Newcastle fans will know what I mean when I say it's been a typical away performance from them so far this season. But they haven't really been able to exert their authority in the same way that they do at St James's. There's work to do. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0.
Well, Alan Pardew, that's an understatement, I think, from Jim Proudfoot. There's definitely work to do. But when it's unlucky in many ways, the goal. Let's talk about it, because the corner comes in, Andrich heads it backwards across goal. He's not going for goal, but it hits Bruno's bum and goes in. But I wonder if there's more maybe Aaron Ramsdale can do on that. The ball's gone right across the area and he's left clutching. I don't know what else Newcastle possibly could have done with that. Were they just unlucky?
Think of when the ball went to the far post, I don't think they reacted very well. There was a big bunch of players at the near post, but usually when it goes over your head, you react and you all come back to the back post to obviously clear up the bits, but they didn't react. And so forth. There, he's on his own artery. He's headed it back, and as you say, he gets Gamirez's bum or top of his thigh. But I did think with Ramsdale, it completely he didn't know where he was. Because he'd gone to the far post, he's come back across, hit his bum, and he didn't know where he was. And I don't think he had any chance, if I'm honest. I think the bigger concern in this whole situation is just how flat Newcastle have been at times. They've had good possession. They look like something's going to happen, but there has not been a magic moment. There's not been like a creative kind of run that has really kind of opened it up and unsettled Leverkusen. They look very comfortable. They're almost like, well, yeah, you can have it, you can have it, you can have it. And when you break down, we're gonna get on you. And twice towards the end there, Newcastle almost conceded a second.
Alan, more from you in a second as Newcastle trail 1-0 live on Talksport away to Bayer Leverkusen. Goal at Ashton Gate already, second half in the Championship, Ian Abrams.
Bristol City 1, Leicester 2. Immediately, Bristol City half the deficit. Ball down the right-hand side, wasn't properly cleared, and Mark Sykes forced it past the keeper from about 6 yards out. Bristol City 1, Leicester City 2.
I'll run down all the latest scores very shortly, but Newcastle 1 down to Leverkusen. Let's get half-time from the Burnabout. Real Madrid against Manchester City. A brilliant first 45, Mickey Gray.
It certainly was. And Real Madrid, Manchester City 2. And it was Real Madrid who got off to the best start, and it took them on the 29th minute through Rodrigo. Good play from Jude Bellingham, who played the ball into Rodrigo, slotted the ball coolly into the bottom corner. The equaliser came from Nico O'Reilly from a Man City corner. It was Guardiola who got first contact. His header was well saved, but O'Reilly from 2 yards out slotted the ball into the back of the net for the equaliser. And Erling Haaland, who touched the ball 6 times in the first half, it doesn't really matter for him. He did get his 6th Champions League goal, and City second from the penalty spot. It was Rudiger who pulled down Erling Haaland from an O'Reilly cross, and the referee gave the penalty having looked after VAR. Haaland stood up, he slotted the ball into the bottom corner to give City the lead at the break. It's Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2.
Mickey, keepers at fault for both the first goals, for the City goal and the Real Madrid goal. I think both could have done better on those. But in terms of the penalty, this is what Rudiger's been doing all his career. Finally, officials are catching up with him, because what he does is he completely fouls his man, prevents his man from moving, and then he falls over pretending he's been fouled. Well, he's been found out this time.
Yeah, well, Adrian, you're completely right about the goalkeepers. I think they could have done a lot better with both the first opportunities where the goals did come. But Rudiger was just waiting for that cross, hoping that the referee was looking at Nico O'Reilly, who was making the cross. That's when he made contact with Haaland. He wrapped his arms around his waist and pulled him down to the ground, and then jumped straight up after he fell to the ground as well. That's what we've got VAR for, because as the game was going on, it looked as if there was a challenge, but there didn't look as if there was anything wrong with it. But VAR intervened, and it was the right call in the end. And Haaland, as he does, just slots the ball for his 6th and 55th Champions League goal. Incredible.
Yeah, some turnaround as well. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2. And live on Talksport 2, it's half-time in Belgium, and Arsenal lead 1-0. And what a goal from Noni Madueke. It's incredible. On the right-hand side, strength and skill to break forward, go past several players, and then he unleashed a left-foot stunner in off the underside of the bar. It's a brilliant goal from Arsenal's Noni Madueke, and Arsenal lead in the Champions League again 1-0. That's live on Talksport 2. Elsewhere, Bilbao 0, PSG 0. Benfica lead Napoli by a goal to 0. Napoli struggling. Dortmund 1, Bodo Glimt 1. Juventus 0, Paphos 0. And our sides, Arsenal 1 up, Man City 2-1 up in the Bernabeu against Real Madrid. And live on Talksport, Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 0. You're listening to the Champions League live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Kick off on Talksport with Ladbrokes. 18+gambleaware.org.
And sponsor athletes for the glory, but not Quaker. We're real food. So we sponsor Team GB for the real stuff, the ugly stuff. The 5 a.m. alarms, the blisters, bruises, goggle marks, and mountains of sweaty laundry. Because we know that getting to greatness takes a delicious helping of ugliness. And my word, our porridge is ugly. Look at the state of it. Quaker. Deliciously real, deliciously ugly. Sponsor of Team GB.
TV Mag, free inside the sun. Grab a pen and sit down to plan all your festive fun. Oh, TV Mag, double issue size. Grandad snores through Strictly after eating 10 mince pies. Hey! You'd be crackers to spend over a £5 on the Radio Times this Christmas when you can get a free TV Mag with The Sun. Get your 120-page double-issue Christmas and New Year TV Mag this Saturday in The Sun.
This season, LiveScore Bet is bringing you more ways to win with our weekly promotions. No goal, no problem. VAR payout to the rescue. Leading at the break, celebrate your ACCA early with halftime heroes. 2 goals ahead, cha-ching, rest easy and enjoy the game courtesy of 2 Up. Celebrate every goal, every twist and turn this season with LiveScore Bet, bringing you more ways to win. LiveScore Bet, total betting. Eligible leagues and markets vary. Full T's and C's apply. 18+gambleaware.org.
This Christmas, skip the socks and smellies. Get him something that actually delivers. His very own Skull Shaver. Engineered for speed, precision, and a smooth finish. Done in 90 seconds. No mess, no mirrors, no nicks. Except the Saint, dropping off the gifts. Shop the range and buy online at skullshaver.co.uk for Christmas and all the trimmings.
With Lidl Plus, a Lini Prosecco Spumante is $4.69 and Comte de Seneval Champagne is only $9.99. Now that's a price worth celebrating. Lidl, more to value. Be drink aware, 18+, subject to availability, exclude Scotland. See lidl.co.uk/LPTV. Offer ends 31st of the 12th.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, Talksport are and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download. Every morning from 6 on Talksport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Champions League live on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
On 1089 and 1053 medium wave, on your mobile and on your smart speaker.
Home of the Festive 50. 50 games of football this December. Talksport.
And we've got half-time in the Women's Champions League as well. Chelsea 3-0 up against Roma at half-time. An own goal, Captain and Canary with the goals. Manchester United 0, Lyon 1 is not the result United need. Mark Skinner's left Jess Park and Ella Toone on the bench tonight, and they're a goal down at half-time with work to do. A goal in League 2 as well. Newport, bottom of the table, have equalised at Crewe through a James Connolly own goal. But let's focus on the Champions League. Let's get the half-time odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
It's Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 0 on Talksport at half-time. Leverkusen 13-8 on to win. Newcastle 19-4, the draw 12-5 on Talksport 2. Club Brugge 0, Arsenal 1, Arsenal 11-2 on to win. The draw's 5-1. Club Brugge now 14-1. Latest odds there with Ladbrokes, 18 plus. Speak gambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talksport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Back to the game in Germany very shortly. Bayer Leverkusen leading Newcastle by a goal to nil. The game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Round the grounds in the Championship, early second half to Pride Park. Any sign of a goal, Jeff Peters?
No, it's still Derby 0, Millwall 0. Derby with an opportunity early in the second half. Langas with a half volley from the edge of the box, saved by Crocombe, who made an even better one from Elder in the first half. Aziz struck the woodwork for Millwall. And Jake Cooper had a header cleared off the line. It's Derby 0, Millwall 0, and it's not great.
Here at Portman Road, Stoke not out of this yet, Mike Sewell?
No, indeed. Ipswich 1, Stoke 0. Stoke have made the better start to this second half. They've been very busy, but the final third has been the problem for them with the finishing. They've got forward on plenty of occasions. Their best chances were early on in the game, just after Jayden Philogene had given Ipswich the lead. It remains Ipswich 1, Stoke 0.
And let's head to Ashton Gate, latest there with Talksport's Ian Abrams.
Bristol City 1, Leicester 2. Leicester 2 up at the break thanks to goals from Jordan Ayew and Bobby Decordova-Reid against his former club. Mark Sykes halved the arrears a minute into the second half, and since then Bristol City thought they should have had a penalty for handball, and they are throwing everything at Leicester right now. Bristol City 1, Leicester 2.
Got a bit of breaking news as well. Aston Villa away to Basel tomorrow night in the Europa League. Live on Talksport, that game. Ahead of the match, the Villa boss Unai Emery has confirmed Harvey Elliott is likely to leave Aston Villa in January. He said tonight, Unai Emery, hopefully we can get a solution for him to try to play consistently to continue in his career with us or not. He's on loan here, but not definitely adding to us with a permanent contract. He's played 2 games for his parent club Liverpool earlier in the campaign, so that means he can't play for a third club in this season. So that's an interesting situation, one to watch when the January transfer window opens. Basel Aston Villa tomorrow night, live on Talksport in the Europa League. Before that on Talksport 2 in the Europa League, Forest away to Utrecht, and Talksport 2 Shelbourne against Crystal Palace in the Europa Conference League. Palace with a bit of work to do in that competition. That's live on Talksport 2. It's an 8 o'clock kick-off as Leif Davis fires just wide for Ipswich, who remain 1-0 in front against Stoke City here. Let's look forward to the second half. Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 0 with Alan Pardew. They said it was a bit flat from Newcastle. What has Eddie Howe got to tell them at half-time?
Well, he certainly needs to liven up his striker. I mean, the guy, Waldemar, has come back to Germany and he looks flat tonight, and he's not really... There's been 3 or 4 opportunities for him to get across the defender and sort of make something of one of the crosses or balls that come into the box, and he's been flat-footed. The two wide players need to be a little bit more aggressive. I thought Gordon did better towards the end of the half. I'd like to see him take on the fullback a little bit more. They definitely got to be on their guard, Adrian, in terms of on the break. This Leverkusen side look like they're set up to just kind of suck Newcastle onto them and then going to kill them off. So if I was Eddie, I would be very, very conscious to liven up my front three and on the other side of the coin, Tonali to fill the holes. When we overcommit, make sure that you're on the cover and they can't break on us, because that looks like the route to the second goal to me.
In some ways, Alan, I don't know if you disagree, but Newcastle have been a little bit lucky. There was the close shave penalty decision. There's been chances on the break that you're talking about, the way Bayer Leverkusen are playing. They look threatening when they break forward.
They do, and as I say, they've caused problems. Poco and Tillman, the two sort of number 10s, have been quick to get on it, i.e. on turnovers. They run into channels and it's a problem. Schicker's been great, and very, very fortunate, Newcastle, not to be 2-0 down, because when they keep replaying the penalty, and it was really close, Adrian. I mean, he sort of has his arm a little bit on the outside of the box for the first contact, but the main contact is in the box, and he so easily have stayed a penalty.
Yeah, it could have done. Is there a Newcastle players seemingly unaware of what's going on here? What's at stake here? Because they might not even make it to a playoff position. Who knows?
Well, they really need to get their finger out this second half. I mean, as I said to you at the start of the show, I fancy them to get a result here tonight. But now I've seen them, and of course the away form is a concern. The stats are not good, and when now I've seen them away from home, I can understand why. They look a little bit kind of listless. There's no kind of energy about them. We was talking earlier about the Barcelona game and the energy they had in that first game, where they were, getting after and really harassing Barcelona. They haven't really done that to this team. It's been kind of like, it's okay. It's been one of those sort of performances. There's nothing exceptional about it. It's not been bad. It's been okay. And when you look at Liverpool, that's the sort of performances they've been putting in. Okay performances. You've got to do more than that at any level.
Can't get away with that, you're right. Last season, 16 points, got top 8, 12 points guaranteed a playoff place, 11 points. Could mean bottom 12, and you're out. Newcastle, as it stands, are on 9 points. Elsewhere, on Talksport 2, Arsenal 1 up away to Bruges. Commentary on Talksport 2. Updates to come of Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2, but Newcastle have a big 45 coming up. It's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 0. Second half, live on Talksport with the former Newcastle manager Alan Pardew, alongside your commentator Jim Proudfoot.
Adrian, thank you. Perfect time. We're back underway. Bayer Leverkusen in black with the red trim, and they're kicking from right to left in the second half. Newcastle in their green shirts, white shorts. Tonali winning it back on the turn in the midfield. Voltemada. It's a better start from Newcastle already. More purpose around the edge of the penalty area. Livramento taking it on, but his cross didn't quite deflect into the path of Barnes. And that touch of a Leverkusen player took it out of harm's way. To Grimaldo. Pocket was quick, but not even the Dutchman stood a chance of being able to get on the end of that through ball. This is how they line up then. Leverkusen, Flecken in goal. Kwanzaa, Andrik and Tapsoba. Arthur, Mazza, Alex Garcia and Grimaldo. Tillman and Poku and Schick. For Newcastle is Ramsdale, Livramento, Shelburne, Hall, Guimaraes, Tonali, Joelinton, Barnes, Voltemada and Gordon. And your Talksport team, Proudfoot and Pardew.
The two P's. Yeah, I mean, Newcastle look like they've, had a little bit of a roddick in the half-time from Eddie. And they've come out a lot lively. Let's hope that continues.
And a yellow card is shown the way of the Bayer Leverkusen defender Tapsoba. I think, or is it Poku? Poku it is, that has been cautioned. It's his first yellow card of the season as he received the ball. Barnes tried to take it away from him, and Poku just threw out an arm to protect himself, really, but has caught Barnes right on the bridge of the nose.
He's a little bit unlucky there, I think. He's, it's a typical thing when a player's coming on the back of you, you get your arms up to kind of, stop that resistance coming. And unfortunately, he's caught him in the face, so it's slightly unlucky to get a yellow card for that.
So Newcastle trailing 1-0. City 2-1 up, Arsenal 1-0 up. Here comes this free kick towards the edge of the Leverkusen penalty area. Hit him from deep and headed away. 2 defensive headers from Bayer Leverkusen carrying the ball back outside the box. Gordon will come across and try and put the pressure on. Arthur has been able to clear it into him to buy a throw for Bayer Leverkusen.
I mean, it's interesting, Arthur. He's done well down that side against Gordon, but you'd like to think that Gordon, turn the heat up on him. He's gone round him a couple of times, so in this second half, that's going to be a key battle.
2.5 minutes gone in the second period. This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. Livramento plays it forward. Andrik. And then it's back inside his own penalty area where Quansah takes a touch and then another down towards his own dead ball line, but then has the confidence to go up through the gears and try and bring it away. It's a poor ball out, given away. Hall ready to cross the face of goal, and Barnes couldn't get there with Flecken beaten to provide the decisive touch. Brilliant play by Lewis Hall. Read the script, seized upon it, and very nearly orchestrated an equaliser.
Best chance for Newcastle. That was a great opportunity, and Hall, who stole it off the wide player, then drove into the box and fired a left-footed shot across the 6-yard box. And as you say, unfortunately, Barnes he was never going to get there. It was always beating him. And unfortunately, it's gone past the post and out for a goal kick. Best moment, though, for Newcastle, without a doubt. And as we said at the start, Jim, a little bit more purpose about them. And that's what we wanted to see.
3.5 gone in this second half. With Talksport. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 0. So Newcastle, if it stays this way, 9 points from 6 games, still to come. PSV at home, Paris Saint-Germain away, needing probably 2 points in those 2 games to stay in the competition. And if they were to lose tonight, it's very hard to make a case. As Flecken is caught in possession as he brought Voltemada down. Yes, penalty to Newcastle.
Yeah, and I think that's right. He made a mistake in the first half, Jim, didn't he, with his feet? And it went under his foot. He looked and he's taken a gamble here. He's had a touch, and it looks like he's sort of waiting. And then the big fella's got him. Oh, there's not much in it, is there? As he's run across him, he's gone down, Voltemade, but there isn't a lot of contact. They might be looking at this. Flecken gets himself in all sorts of trouble, and then to sort of get himself out of it, he slides. It's a bit of a dive for me.
Well, Flecken certainly thought so, and he's eyeballing Voltemada and accusing him of going to ground very easily. The on-field decision is a penalty. Clearly the VAR is going to have a look at it. I mean, Voltemada has attacked that situation really cleverly, of which more in a moment. It looks as though the VAR check is complete, and there is going to be an opportunity for Anthony Gordon to score yet another penalty. It was a back pass towards Flecken. He had all the time in the world. I mean, Voltemada was literally 15 yards away from him when he received it. But he's looking upfield, Flecken, towards the inside left channel. Voltemada has bent his run to almost come in from the blind side of him. Put him under pressure. Contact very minimal, but was made. And Gordon's got the chance to make it 1-1. Anthony Gordon, who scored penalties in his last 2 matches. The chance to make that 3. Big exhalation. Brings the shoulders up and down. Attacks the ball and puts it past Flecken into the bottom left-hand corner. Newcastle United off and running at the start of the second half after such a disappointing opening 45 minutes. Voltemada winning the penalty. Gordon putting it away. Flecken hides his face in his orange shirt. So dismayed by the error that has led to that. It's Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, game on now. I mean, this is a story really of 2 penalties that could easily have gone different ways, both against Newcastle, but they've both gone for Newcastle. In that one was overturned in the first half, which was dubious, and this penalty has gone for them in terms of what looks like a bit of a dive by Voltemada. But the goalie's had a little bit of contact. It stayed the decision, and Gordon smashed it in the corner. It's 1-1, and Newcastle have come out second half and at least at least have gone like, we're going to have a go at this, and they've got their reward.
5th Champions League goal of the season for Anthony Gordon, right in front of the thousands of travelling Geordies who've made their way over to Western Germany. Anthony Gordon scoring the goal. It's 1 apiece. Here comes Poku at the other end, trying to deliver one across the edge of the 6-yard box. It's blocked and out for a corner. Elsewhere, Noni Madueke scored his and Arsenal's second in Belgium. Bruges 0, Arsenal 2. Benfica have doubled their lead at home to Napoli. Dortmund back ahead at home to Werder Glimt. They lead by 2-1. In this one, it's Bayer Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1. And the first corner of the second half has been given Leverkusen's way. Swung in towards the near post, and Livramento climbs high to head away. Out as far as Mazza. Side-footed forward by him to Alex Garcia. Down the line, Mazza poking it back towards the edge of the 6-yard box again. It's a relatively routine clearance, and out of play for another Bayer Leverkusen throw. Just got to consolidate here. Newcastle United having got themselves back on level terms.
Yep, I mean, this is a crucial time now for Newcastle. They've got a little break, they've got the goal. Now it's about time to push on, but without making those risks they were taking at the end of the first half.
Leverkusen have it again. Grimaldo almost able to flick it past Livramento for the run of Mazza ahead of him. Mazza then wins it back, but fouls Bruno Guimaraes in the process. Leverkusen fans think they're not having the rub of the green in terms of some of the refereeing decisions tonight from Serdar Gozbuyuk. Let's go back to the Bernabeu. Manchester City leading the last time we heard from Mickey Gray.
Still leading, Jim. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2, but it should be level, and it's Jude Bellingham with a great opportunity. Played in down the right-hand side by Rodrigo, and he just tries to dink it over the top of Donnarumma when he could have really played it underneath the goalkeeper who'd already dove to his left-hand side. Big opportunity for Real Madrid. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2.
In League 2, Newport, 4 points adrift at the bottom of the table, level at Crewe, but down to 10 men with Courtney Baker-Richardson sent off. Still 1-1 there, and now 1-1 here between Leverkusen and Newcastle United in our feature game on Talksport this evening. It's another long ball is rifled towards the edge of the Newcastle penalty area, and it's just a coming together there involving Dan Burn. More appeals for a penalty. The decision not given the way of the young substitute Kafan, the Cameroonian that they signed from Albacete, who scored against PSV on match day 2. He's come off the bench in a dozen games already this season. He has got 5 goals to his name and has added a lively dimension to this Bayer Leverkusen attack. He's got the ball at his feet now. Step back towards halfway. Andrić to his left-hand side for Tapsoba. Tapsoba able to come forward, and then he will check and work it to the right-hand side. Comes back to the left for Bayer Leverkusen. Newcastle's defenders having to do plenty of running here, and Chow has blocked the Grimaldo cross, but at the expense of another corner, as Leverkusen try and turn the screw to regain the advantage.
Yeah, it's just sort of swung the momentum a little bit back to Leverkusen, sort of, to try and get something more from the game. They're pushing now, and Newcastle are just having to be resilient for this period. Good little spell for Leverkusen.
It's a corner that will be taken on their left. And again, it's Grimaldo, the set-piece specialist. Plenty of whip on it. There was a time to take a couple of touches inside his own penalty area from Joelinton, and he needed that time because he couldn't get the ball under control. Eventually just side-foots it away and out for a Leverkusen throw about 20 yards from the corner flag. Throw that is taken by Arthur. And then the ball put out of play again by Hall for another Bayer Leverkusen throw in almost an identical position. 11 minutes gone in the second half. Still Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1. The camera panning to 3 or 4 of the travelling Geordies, who certainly look as though they are enjoying the occasion.
It's like a bit of the German beer there.
A bit of the German beer, a bit of the Nuki Brown that they brought over, a bit of it all by the look of it. 1-1. Ball played back towards halfway. Here's Tapsoba. Kino Faso international. To Andrich. Coming forward over halfway. 12 minutes gone in this second period here on Talksport. As Arsenal get a third in Belgium. He's run the changes tonight, Mikel Arteta. But they're 3-0 up away to Club Brugge. As Grimaldo comes forward for Bayer Leverkusen. Antonali comes back and knocks it away. One back by Poku. The Dutchman through the midfield. Mazza into Tillman. Malik Tillman had green shirts all around him as he prepared to pull the trigger. More appeals for a free kick fall on deaf ears. They've still got possession though. Grimaldo to Poku again. Poku stabbing it back, looking for Cafan. Knocked away from him. Once more towards Mazza. Clever little reverse ball in. The substitute with a shot. And it's poked away well. Good defending on the edge of the 6-yard box by Chow. Newcastle then trying to break quickly with Barnes, who got goal side of Tapsoba for a moment. He's gone to ground. He wants a free kick. I think Newcastle have been given a throw instead. 58 gone. It's 1-1. The play's had to stop because Joelinton is down and needs treatment.
Yeah, best spell for Leverkusen in this second half. They kept possession well and really probed around Newcastle. Newcastle defended it fairly well actually, but there was a couple of moments where they almost looked like they were going to get a shot off, blocked out by the Newcastle defenders, and in the end it's come to nothing. We're looking at a replay of the penalty again. I mean, it's such a, it really is a soft penalty. I mean, you can't get any softer than that. He gets himself in all sorts of trouble, the goalkeeper, with his touch, but I don't actually think he fouls Voltemada at all. But he goes to ground and they've given the decision, and I think he can feel a little bit unfortunate, the goalkeeper.
He almost did a cartoon-style double take. I mean, Voltemada's 6 for 8. It's difficult to miss him, but he did. He was just looking the other way. Yeah. And all of a sudden, when he realised how close he was and the pressure he was under, realisation dawned, and he started panicking. And it all unravelled for him very quickly. It looks as though Joelinton's going to be unable to continue because Newcastle have got Lewis Miley ready. And the youngster is coming on to replace the Brazilian. Miley, who scored his first Premier League goal in nearly 2 years at Everton. He's still a teenager, but more than 60 first-team games for the Toon Army behind him. He's going to come on for Joelinton. And he will be a big miss over the next few weeks, Joelinton, if that is a serious hamstring problem he's got there. Well,
I think he's okay actually, because he's sort of signalling that he wanted to stay on. He looks really upset now. I think it's one of those that it wasn't really that bad, but Eddie has taken the decision out for him. He's took him off and put the young boy on. And actually, you said before the start of the game that Joelinton struggled a little bit. I could sense in your voice what you meant, and he has struggled tonight. I don't think if I was the manager, I would have took him off as well. I think the young boy might help Newcastle now with a bit more energy.
He just hasn't really been able to stamp his authority on some of the away games that I've seen for Newcastle this season. Different story at St James Park. Played an hour. Newcastle with defending to do. Hall can do it. He can get back goal side of Arthur very quickly. Be back around the grounds in a moment. Here on Talksport as the games in the EFL make their way into the final 15 minutes. Livramento can defend easily enough as Poku poked it forward, but too much on it. Livramento then brings it away. It looked as though he's run that over the line and out of play for a throw. He has. And Leverkusen, as you would expect, taking it quickly. A side that have been beaten at home this season by Hoffenheim and by Dortmund, and 7-2 by Paris Saint-Germain. They drew their first 2 games in the Champions League, then had that home hammering. Responded well with wins at Benfica and, remember, Manchester City last time out. Just a point against their name so far, 1-1 here on Talksport. As Guimaraes defends on the edge of the D. Gets it away from the on-rushing Grimaldi. Down towards Livramento. Grimaldo's back in there. Try to win possession back. Can't. And Newcastle can turn. Get it forward with Barnes. Into Nick Voltemada. Voltemada with a little reverse ball inside the penalty area that was never likely to come off. Scorer of that third Arsenal goal, incidentally, was Martinelli, the first Arsenal player ever to score in 5 successive Champions League games for the club. When you bear in mind some of those that have play for the club with such great distinction in this competition over the years. That really is a moment of history to savour. 2 for Madueke, 1 for Martinelli. Arsenal 3 up live over on Talksport 2. Newcastle trying to get ahead here. Gordon running inside the penalty area. He's hit the inside of the post. It very nearly came back to him. But Leverkusen can smuggle it away. A shot across the face of Flecken. And Newcastle inches away from a 2-1 lead.
Yeah, Gordon's definitely got the beating of the fullback. If he takes him on the outside, which he did there, he takes him on the outside, left foot shot, good strike actually, off the front of his foot. And it goes right across the goal, he hits the post, and unfortunately for him, comes back out on the diagonal, almost to him. So he almost plays a 1-2 with the post, if you can imagine that. Somehow they smuggled it away, Leverkusen. Great chance for Newcastle.
All started with Tonali winning the ball back in the midfield. Gordon going outside his man, beating Flecken. Kwanzaa was relieved that he was beaten as well. Ends back at the feet of a Leverkusen player on the edge of the box. Could easily have hit Flecken and ricocheted back off him towards goal. It didn't. By Leverkusen really riding their luck. 1-1. Let's go back round the grounds in the Championship, starting at Portman Road. Ipswich Stoke, Mike Sewell.
It's still Ipswich 1, Stoke 0, and this game has been, well, it's been hard to describe really, because we've had a limited amount of chances in the second half. Both teams have been busy but not effective in their final thirds, and Ipswich still hold this slender lead with 13 and a half minutes to go. Ipswich 1, Stoke 0.
Voltemada with a shot on the turn, and it's hit, taps over and ricochets away past the post and out for a corner. That would have been close had it not taken the deflection. And Newcastle looking the more likely now.
Yeah, it steps it up a little bit, Newcastle, all round the second half. Been so much better. They've had a little spell, Leverkusen, but Newcastle starting to look a threat now. That was another big opportunity. It's gone out for a corner, and they're going to have to defend this set play. And Newcastle definitely have got a taller side and look like first contact for them. Both boxes is a good opportunity.
News of a Millwall goal at Derby in a moment. Gordon, Hall, Barnes all standing in front of the nervy Flecken. Miley and Byrne and Voltemada at the far post. They make their way inside the 6-yard box. The corner curves past everybody and straight out of play for a goal kick. Who scored the goal for the Lions at Pride Park, Jeff?
It's a Derby player. It's Derby 0, Millwall 1. Matt Clark threw himself as a cross came in low from the right-hand side, and Clark has turned it past his own goalkeeper. It's Derby 0, Millwall 1.
It could be the passport for a 4th straight win for Alex Neil's Lions, and would keep that gap between them and 5th place Ipswich, who are also still leading, as we heard from Mike moments ago, by a 1-0 at Portman Road. Wrexham missed a penalty at Hull. And Juventus take the lead against Paphos in the Champions League. A goal that's been some time in coming. They win tonight. They're only up to 9 points from their 6 games. Actually started the night level on points with the Cypriots, but they have the advantage. Juve 1, Paphos 0, and Crewe lead 10-man Newport in the EFL by 2-1. Flecken with a clearance. Way down towards the left-hand touchline, straight out of play for a throw that Malik Chow will take. Ashton Gate next, Bristol City Leicester, Ian Abrahams.
Bristol City 1, Leicester 2. Bristol City haven't given up on this. Closest to come to an equaliser. A corner-headed goal was by Dickey, and almost on the goal line, Sinclair Armstrong headed against the bar. It's still Bristol City 1, Leicester 2.
That's a 2-1 there. Derby 0, Millwall 1, Ipswich 1, Stoke 0, Hull 1, Wrexham 0. Those are your Championship scores in the Champions League. As things stand right now, after victories for Ajax and Copenhagen in the early games, still Athletic Bilbao 0, PSG 0. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1 in this game. Benfica 2, Napoli 0. Dortmund 2, Werder Glimt 1. Arsenal 3 up at Club Brugge over on Talksport 2. Weston McKennie's goals giving Juventus the lead against Paphos 1-0. And Manchester City still lead 2-1 at Real Madrid. We'll be back with Mickey in a moment as Leverkusen bring it forward down the right-hand side. Another opportunity to sweep it in. And Ramsdale took a couple of hasty steps back and caught a cross that wasn't too far away from finding Kafane at the far post.
Yeah, it's a kind of strange game now for Eddie. You know, does he go and chase the win, or does he take what he's got here? So it looks to me like this Newcastle team still on the front foot a little bit, which is probably the right mode to be in my opinion. So they're still chasing the win, but it's still looking like opportunities are coming both ends.
And now Livramento can play it forward towards Miley. And Voltemada can turn, almost was able to set up Gordon, but it was swept away. Another goal at Ashton Gate. Ian Abrahams.
8 to go, Bristol City 2, Leicester 2, the comeback complete. Emil Rees is headed home from a corner. Told you Bristol City hadn't given up on this. Bristol City 2, Leicester 2.
6th of the season for Emil Rees, the joint leading scorer for the Robins now. Set up a barnstorming final 10 minutes. We're into the final quarter of this one. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1, and both sides will reckon they can win it from here. Newcastle at the moment are looking the more likely to be able to do that. Such a disappointing performance over the first 45 minutes, but they have grown into it in the second. Hull 2, Wrexham 0. Ollie McBurney scoring the second goal for the Tigers tonight. That's his 8th of the campaign. Hull 2, Wrexham 0. And Wrexham's unbeaten streak seemingly is going to be snapped at 7. Livramento with a chance to launch a throw inside the Leverkusen penalty area here. He's just picked up a white towel that was by the side of the pitch, dries the match ball. He's got a 4-pace run up here towards the near touchline. Not the longest throw that you've ever seen, but Newcastle win the second ball on the edge of the penalty area. Stumble though in the midfield, and the counter-attack is on. And Poku can outpace Tonali, make his way towards the edge of the penalty area, cut inside and fires a right-footed shot over the bar. After one of the retreating Newcastle players, I think it was Gordon, maybe Hall, got himself in the way, and it's brushed off his thigh and flown over the bar. Counter-attack after Barnes laid it back to Tonali on the edge of the penalty area at one end. Tonali stumbled and everyone was left in Poku's wake.
Tonali did well actually, because he's fallen over and then managed to get himself up and chase Poku all the way back. A lung-busting run all the way to the edge of the box, and then he dropped a great bit of skill on Tonali to come inside, and unfortunately a bit of a head rush and smashed it over the bar. It was a great opportunity.
It was Lewis Hall that it hits. Another corner for Leverkusen into the near post, and very nearly got the flick. Voltemada comes out to clear. Right-footed shot then is swung in, and Byrne heads that away. And out for a throw to Leverkusen. 20 minutes to go for either of these sides to win it. Tapsoba preparing to take the throw, but I think a change is going to be made. Poku may well be the player that will come off.
Well, that would be a bonus, because he's been a handful all night, actually. It's a strange game now, because it looks like, there's going to be a winning goal here, but you're not quite sure which end it's going to go in. Both are creating opportunities.
I think it's Nathan Teller, the former Southampton and Burnley man, who will be called into action in a moment. Tonali has played it back to Dan Byrne, forward towards Hall. Hall out of the Newcastle left-hand side for Anthony Gordon, whose penalty 6 minutes into this second half after Voldemada was fouled by Flecken has got Newcastle back on level terms. He's also hit the post. Gordon swings it across here that very nearly found Miley. Half clear to the edge of the box. Guimaraes with a touch that Kwanzaa could clear. He's caught his man Kafan anyway, and it's going to be a free kick to Bayer Leverkusen on the edge of their box. 20 minutes to go. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 1. A similar time left out in Spain. Real Madrid trailing Manchester City. Mickey Gray.
It's still Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2, and it's City who are doing the front running, coming close to Ryan Cherky and Jeremy Doku. It was Courtois pulling off some wonderful saves. Still have not seen Kylian Mbappe tonight. I wonder if he's going to get a run out. Real Madrid 1, Man City 2.
Well, Leverkusen have made the change. Poku off and Nathan Teller on. A player that Leverkusen signed from Southampton for £20 million. He only scored 3 goals for the Saints, but 19 in a season at Burnley under Vincent Kompany. And Teller part of the side that won the league and cup double a couple of seasons ago. He's due a goal, though. He's not netted since March. Now he's come on with 20 minutes to try and find one here. I must admit, I'm a little surprised that it's Poku with his pace who has come off. Teller's got possession here, wearing 23. Back to the corner of the penalty area for Grimaldo. Right-footed ball is swung inside the box. Khan going up for it, but wasn't allowed a free jump at it by Lewis Hall. A little low five from Dan Burn to congratulate the fullback for good defending. He's had a play for a goal kick.
Yeah, I mean, there was some great wing play earlier by Gordon. That's exactly what you want to see from him. He got possession really wide on the flank, and he's taken his time to take the fullback on. He sort of lulled him into a square position, then knocked it past him, and then cut back again. Then an in-swinging cross that was so close to a runner. I'm not sure who it was. Guimaraes, I think, coming in the box late, and it really almost was the goal. But at the moment, the game is really nicely poised. 72 minutes, it's 1-1. Could go any way, this game.
Juventus have doubled their lead at home to Paphos through Jonathan David, and a late goal at Derby. Jeff Peters.
We've got the equaliser. Derby 1, Millwall 1. Matt Clark, who'd scored the own goal earlier for the visitors, he went in for a header. I think Jake Cooper has headed it into his own net. I think we have 2 own goals here. Derby 1, Millwall 1 in stoppage time.
Yeah, certainly credited as a Jake Cooper own goal at the moment. 2 late own goals there. Livramento with a ball inside the Bayer Leverkusen penalty area. 17 minutes to go. And still Leverkusen 1, Newcastle 1. Villa in action tomorrow. They go to Basel. It's live here on Talksport this time tomorrow, kicking off at 8. And a double bill on Talksport 2 as Gordon plays it in. Miley! 2-1 Newcastle!
And that's exactly what he did earlier, Gordon. It was brilliant. He went on the outside this time. And the young boy who's come on has stolen in the box. A great cross. And he's met it with his head. It is 2-1 Newcastle. And they deserve it for the second half. I mean, second half has been so much better. It's almost like a different team have come out.
Well, he recently scored his first Premier League goal in nearly 2 years, and he's just added a massive goal in the Champions League. Lewis Miley on for Joelinton, and on the end of Gordon's beautiful cross, he was 8 yards out, threw himself at it, climbing above the defender to power his header past Mark Flecken. What a moment. Got himself isolated against Nathan Teller and was always likely to win that aerial battle and put Newcastle United ahead. Bang average in the first half, but they're 2-1 up with 15 minutes to go.
What a moment for the young fella. He's got a smile as wide as the stadium. Brilliant. And that's, when your midfield comes in late like that and he has momentum, you just can't defend it. And he's got his timing perfectly and headed it. As he's headed it, it's gone right in the corner. 2-1. Great goal for Newcastle.
And the Bayer Leverkusen fans largely silenced. 2-0 winners at Manchester City on match day 5, but now trailing Newcastle by 2-1 on match day 6. And it is a goal that would take Newcastle to the very brink. You would have to imagine that with 12 points from 6 games, that will definitely be enough for them to be playing knockout football in the Champions League in February, even if they were to lose at home to PSV and away to PSG in those 2 games in the space of a week in late January. But defending to be done here. Nathan Teller laying the ball back and then getting a return pass, fizzes it across the edge of the 6-yard box. If found attacking it, couldn't get there. Newcastle clear out for Tapsoba. It's 20 yards outside the penalty area, shuffling forward. Laid to his left for Alex Garcia. Little 1-2 between him and Grimaldo as Bodo Glimt equalise away to Dortmund. 2-2 there. Danny lead 1. What a night for Blackpool. 3 up at Rotherham. In comes the latest cross. Oh, Ramsdale's beaten it away. That meant that Hall had to try and poke it away. Another shot comes in on the turn, and it's caught by the diving Ramsdale to deny Cavani.
Yeah, I'm not sure Ramsdale needed to make that save. It looked like it was going wide to me, and he pushed it back into the box. And then we've had like a kerfuffle here. There's like 2 or 3, and it's fallen, and he's turned on it, and then Ramsdale's made a comfortable save just to his left-hand side. Yeah, slightly fortunate there.
Still 2-1. Newcastle leading with 13 minutes to go. And the Dutch referee has just had to get involved here. It's a little angry reaction from players on both sides. The free kick given to Leverkusen, they've taken it quickly. Grimaldo back outside the penalty area. Another chance for him to whip a left-footed ball in. The head's going up for it. Maybe a little bit of dangerous play as Byrne came across to clear it. He ducked right in an attempt to try and get that away. I think the Leverkusen player that was going for the ball, I think it's Kafan again, was perfectly entitled to. Not too sure what the referee's decision is, whether it is a goal kick. What does the referee see? He has given the goal kick. It is the right decision. I think the Leverkusen fans thought it was a corner that hit Byrne last. It didn't. He cleared it and it hit Kafan on the left leg.
I mean, it was a great cross in, actually. Byrne did well. He put his sort of head where Angel's feared to trip. And luckily, it's gone his way and there's a goal kick and it's sort of calmed down a little bit. But the stadium's up for it. This game still poised. Although Newcastle obviously are ahead, Leverkusen are not out of this yet.
And they made a change. Newcastle United taking Harvey Barnes off and bringing Jacob Murphy on. Player's got a couple of goals this season. Barnes actually immediately being inspected by the Newcastle United medical team. And I think that's because of that bang that he picked up just at the bridge of the nose. They're just having a look to assess it. Looks okay. He's sat back down on the bench. Here's Murphy, already inside the Bayer Leverkusen penalty area, taking on Tapsoba, standing it up towards the far post. It was a decent delivery. Gordon knew actually wasn't going to get there. Didn't want to get too close to the defender, who has cleared it, putting out a play for a corner.
Great opportunity. I mean, Jacob's done brilliant. He's just come on the pitch and he's took his fullback on the outside, which Barnes hasn't done actually all night, and clipped it to the far post, and they're unlucky not to get a goal there. Decent defending, they got a corner.
Bruno Guimaraes will go across to take it. It's Newcastle's fourth corner of the night. Voltemada, Byrne and Chow. 3 ball at the far post. Gordon standing on the goal line. Grimaldo is looking at him. He's not looking at the ball at all. Swung in with venom towards the edge of the 6-yard box, but easily headed away, and the pushing and shoving got too much for the ref, who has given a free kick Leverkusen's way. Full-time whistle has gone, and Derby, did it end all square, Jeff Peters?
It did. Derby 1, Millwall 1. 2 own goals in the last 10 minutes. Matt Clark diverted Ballow's cross past Zetterstrom as the Lions looked to have won it, but then Jake Cooper, under pressure from Clark at a corner, thumped a header into his own net to level things up. Fair result. Derby 1, Millwall 1.
Voltemada has won a free kick now, 15 yards outside the penalty area. And every free kick that Newcastle win, that understandably just going to try and run a few seconds off the clock. They'll be daft not to. League 2, Walsall, 4 points clear now, having won 1-0 at Oldham tonight. The early Kanu goal. Oldham 0, Walsall 1 is a result in League 2. This Newcastle United free kick is dead in line with the penalty spot. So, plumb dead centre. A long, long way out. Flecken, though, not taking any chances on what has already been a difficult night for him. Just making sure that that two-man wall is in the right place. I mean, the wall is outside the D. It shows you how far away the free kick is. Sandro Tonali stands over it. It's difficult being so straight to clip the ball in for the 3 aerial targets. He's actually knocked the free kick square for Livramento. Murphy playing it back again for Tonali. Now he's got time and space just to deliver. Right-footed cross, hung in and brilliantly saved by Flecken. It's one of his stripes back there. That was a great delivery towards the far post. I think it was Chow that got his head to it, powered it into the ground. Flecken diving away to his right-hand side, tipped around the post.
That was an excellent save, because I thought that was a goal. I mean, it's a great ball to the far post. And Chow's got up, won the head. Wow, it's bounced, and it's almost Gordon Banks-like in terms of how he's reacted. He's had to judge the bounce just right to lift it over the bar with his hand.
Yeah, stunning stop. Corner taken. Murphy, he's hit that same post now. Rifling drive, cannoning back with real power off that post that Gordon hit about 15-20 minutes ago. Gordon's ball back towards Ramsdale. It's run through the penalty area. He's gone away. He's on the deck. Now he's back on his feet, but retreating quickly, and Teller fires it into the near post, and Ramsdale tips it round the post for a corner.
Wow, that was a crazy bit of football. It's gone from one end where they've nearly scored Newcastle, another great hit to come on the inside of the post from Jay, and then it's gone straight up the other end. Gordon, in trying to defend the situation, has passed the ball back to Ramsdale. That was a really poor ball. He got intercepted, and then they were all over a 6s and 7s. And Leverkusen worked it to the left, and Ramsdale's had to make a really good save, push it out for a corner. Great bit of football, both ends.
In comes the latest corner at the far post. Newcastle struggling to deal with it. And then Hall very nearly kicked it out of the hands of his goalkeeper, who was able to pounce on it and make the save. Full-time whistle has gone at Portman Road. Did Ipswich hang on, Mike Sewell?
They did. Ipswich 1, Stoke 0 when Jayden Philogene dispatched a wonderful 20-yard curler after only 105 seconds. The bar of expectation was set high. It's fair to say the rest of the game failed to live up to that expectation. 5 defeats in 6 now for Stoke. Ipswich move up to 4th. Ipswich 1, Stoke 0.
Yeah, Ipswich 4th, 34 points, one adrift of Millwall, whose draw at Derby has them on 35. Middlesbrough above them on 39, and Coventry still 5 points clear at the top of the pile with 44. But their lead in the Championship has been halved over the last week or so. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 2. It's finished as well at Ashton Gate. Here's Ian Abrahams.
Bristol City 2, Leicester 2. I hate to use a cliche, but this really was a game of two halves. Jordan Ayew's penalty and deckled over Reed against his former club in the first half. Bristol City with much more energy in the second. Sykes a minute in. Emil Rees headed home 7 from the end, ensured it finished all square. Bristol City 2, Leicester 2.
Our late drama at Crewe. Newport, down to 10 men, have equalised in the 3rd minute of stoppage time. It's 2-2 there. Cameron Antwi with the goal, still playing. 2-1 to Newcastle here. Leverkusen on the front foot, getting closer. Certainly wouldn't rule out another goal, because it is becoming quite open the way that Newcastle have hit the post, and then they've been breaking Leverkusen quickly at the other end. They've got it now inside the penalty area and win another corner with the right-footed shot from the impressive Algerian Mazat that deflects away.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ramsdale get involved in this corner. The last corner, again, he lets it drift right across the front of him. And it's almost a ricochet, almost a carbon copy of the first goal. There's a header one at the far post. It's ricocheting around. In the end, he falls on it. And now they've got another corner from the other side. And Ramsdale's looked shaky on these, if I'm honest.
So Claudio Echeverri, who you may remember made his Manchester City debut as a substitute in last season's FA Cup final, has come on to replace Tillman. Corner comes in, off the head, firstly of Voldemade and then Byrne. And it comes outside the box for Claudio Echeverri, on loan from Manchester City. The Argentinian still only 19 years of age. He's made 3 appearances for City's first team. Ball swung in his direction again at the far post. The sliding round the back, deepest of them all was Teller, but he had no chance of being able to deal with a cross that was too hot. And it goes out of play for a goal kick. There are 5 minutes plus stoppage time for Newcastle to hang on here. 2-1.
Yeah, it's going to be a long 5 minutes and a long extra time as well. I mean, Leverkusen have played reasonably well tonight, but Newcastle, whatever Eddie gave them at half time, whether it was tea, oranges, or a bit of a talking to, it certainly did the job. They've been so much better.
I reckon it was a heady cocktail of all 3, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
That game has finished 2-2, incidentally, between Crewe and Newport in League 2. So Newport back within 3 points of the field and 4 of safety after a big point salvaged in stoppage time with 10 men in League 1 tonight. Blackpool have won 3-0 at Rotherham. They're still in the bottom 4, but they're only a point adrift of safety themselves after a very impressive away win tonight. Leverkusen 1, Newcastle United 2. Not sure this would go down as an impressive away win for Newcastle if they hold on, but it would be a mighty big one. Not great in the first half. They have been much improved in the second. They've got the 2 goals. They've hit the post twice. So when you look at it from that point of view, away from home, against the side in the top 4 of the Bundesliga, and they've scored 2 and hit the woodwork twice, you'd have to say it has been a very impressive 45 minutes in stark contrast to the first.
They're also wearing green, and they've had the rub of the green tonight, haven't they? I mean, the 2 penalty decisions could easily have gone the different way for them. So in some ways they've been, fortunate, but they've earned their luck second half. They have proved so much better. Yeah,
that first penalty decision from Malik Chow judged to have been outside the penalty area as he brought Schick down. And then the second one when Voltemada was just touched so slightly by Flecken, but the penalty was given. Livramento lost possession. Echeverri trying to win it back, has been able to do so. Grimaldo making life difficult, just shows it to Tonali, flick back towards Alex Garcia. Tapsoba coming forward as Leverkusen with 3 minutes left search this equaliser. Off to the Bernabeu in a moment as the latest cross towards the Newcastle United penalty area is repelled. Ball goes deeper for Andrich. Leverkusen will come against a clever little over on the edge of the penalty area, threaded in, and Ramsdale powerless to stop the equalising goal from Grimaldo. It's 2-2. Wonderfully taken as he made a darting run down the inside right channel. First ball through the midfield, clever dummy flick round the corner. Grimaldo took it on. Ramsdale got his body behind him but couldn't keep it out. And with 2 minutes left, it's 2 apiece.
Well, I said it was going to be a long 5 minutes and whatever time we was going to add on, and it's proven that. I mean, that's a well-worked goal. They kind of take their time down the left-hand side. They look like they're going nowhere. They regenerate it off around the pitch and go on the other side. Then there's a dummy in midfield. He follows his run, finds himself in a little pocket. It's flicked round the corner, and that's a great goal. I mean, as he's coming towards the goal here, you're thinking, oh, is he going to put it? And it just gets under Ramsdale's arm, unfortunately, for Ramsdale. It's probably because he's so close to him, he can't move his arm quick enough to stop it. And we have an equaliser. It's 2-2. And probably on the balance of the game, that's probably a fair result.
Alejandro Grimaldo with his 9th goal of the season. He scored at Manchester City on match day 5, and on his return from injury he scored against Newcastle on match day 6. But the Geordies on the front foot again as we are about to enter the 90th minute here on Talksport. Tonali to Hall, out on the Newcastle left is Gordon. Ball worked down towards the corner flag for Hall, cross in towards Murphy, headed away from him, but he will bounce Livramento's way. He can control it on the edge of the penalty area. Guimaraes on the turn, a man who's been in the goals recently. It's just forced away from the edge of the box. Newcastle work it forward again though. Livramento wins the corner off Tapsoba. Let's quickly go to the Bernabeu, Mickey Gray.
2 minutes of normal time left, and it's Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2, and Real Madrid just hit the crossbar through young Endrick, the Brazilian striker. Good play down the left-hand side. They're pushing for the equaliser. City hanging on. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2.
And Leverkusen, in the final seconds of the 90 minutes, are going to make a change. We're going to see Arthur replaced by Loic Bardet. Bardet, French international centre-half who had a loan spell at Nottingham Forest 3 seasons ago, although he didn't play for the club in his time there. Has subsequently scored in a European quarter-final against Manchester United for Sevilla. And he's on as we go into 4 minutes of added time. Newcastle taking the corner, which is swung inside the box and volleyed just over. What a chance to win it that was. It was Malik Chow on the turn, 9 yards out, rifled his right foot through it. He beat Bardet to the ball, but he went a foot over the bar.
He's clever, Chow, because he doesn't really kind of take a swipe at it. He just tries to guide it into that top corner, and he just gets it wrong. It just goes over the bar. Another good cross, though, and that's been the difference in the second half. Newcastle put penetrating crosses in, and they've had their reward, and they've gone on the outside and hit the post twice. So, you know, it's been a much, much improved second half from them. They feel slightly aggrieved to be at 2-2, I think, but, you know, on the balance of play and the 2 penalty decisions, I think it's probably fair at the moment. And both sides actually need a point, really. It suits both sides to actually settle for this.
Live over on TalkSport 2 right now. Arsenal 3 up at Bruges. Tomorrow on TalkSport 2, a double bill. Forest at Utrecht, Palace at Shelbourne. Those games kicking off at 5:45 and 8 respectively. Man City still holding on 2-1 in their game at Real Madrid. This one's got 2.5 minutes of stoppage time still to go. And it's Bayer Leverkusen 2, Newcastle United 2 on TalkSport. Voltemada chasing after the ball that's been played forward. No sign of Johan Wissa tonight. Still kept in cotton wool on the Newcastle United bench. Hall Does he want to throw or conceded it? The referee's indicating to the linesman that the last touch came off the Newcastle United left back. And it's going to be another change here. It is a Newcastle change, and Gordon will be replaced by Ramsey.
Yeah, and I think Wissa's going to come on as well. I think I just see him take his top off, so it'd be nice to see Wissa getting his game.
Yeah, Wissa for Livramento, so it's going to be a very short European debut for Yohan Wissa. Great to see him back in action after missing 3 months because of the knee problem that he picked up on international duty. And for the Congolese, so on for his second Newcastle appearance, and it might, even at the end of his Newcastle career, be his shortest. He's only going to get 90 seconds. The ball sent long by Flecken, headed away by Chow. And that push perpetrated by a Newcastle player has given Leverkusen the free kicks. Bruno Guimaraes. Altamada and Gordon making their way in front of the Newcastle United supporters behind Flecken's goal, having been brought off. And their counterparts have got a minute or so to defend the point that they have. Grimaldo's ball inside, helped on round the corner by Nathan Teller. Andrick to Alex Garcia. 50 seconds left. Leverkusen still outside the Newcastle United penalty area. Now they're not. On the left-hand side of the penalty area, Teller. Ball in towards the penalty spot. Lewis Hall heads it away. It's back in, and Ramsdale's watched it wide. He just got his hands out of the way of Tapsoba's long-range effort. Had he got his hands to that, he could have ricocheted anywhere back inside the box. Ramsdale got across quickly enough, realised he was going wide, and only just got out of the way of it.
He wasn't sure, was he?
How to play for a goal kick that there will be barely time to take.
Yeah, he'll take his time over this. As I say, you know, in reflection, the point each probably gets them both in the playoffs. So they can probably both feel that it's a fair result in a way. Certainly first half, Leverkusen were a far better side, but second half, Newcastle been way better, way better. And you kind of scratch your head to think, why didn't they start like that?
It is a point apiece. A torrid first 45 minutes, an excellent second 45. Newcastle United trailing at the break after a Bruno Guimaraes own goal. Back on level terms with a fortuitous penalty as Voldemade was fouled. Gordon converted that. They led through Lewis Miley. They hit the post through Gordon, then from Murphy, before Grimaldo's late equaliser. 2-2 takes Newcastle up to 10 points from 6 games, still needing a point, possibly 2, from the final 2 matches at home to PSV and away at PSG. Eddie Howe still has to wait for his 100th win in charge. An excellent second half performance sees them leave Germany with a point to their name, 2 apiece.
Alan Pardew, get some thoughts on that. You can think about a man of the match as well. Still playing in the other 2 games involving English sides. Arsenal 3 up away to Bruges. They're going to maintain their 100% start to life in the Champions League this season. And Manchester City still leading 2-1 in the Bernabeu against Real Madrid. They're in 4 minutes of added time there, but you wanted a better second half performance from Newcastle, Alan Pardew, and you got it. I thought they were really good second half.
Yeah, just more purpose about them. You know, you could just tell in their body language. They was like, no, we're coming, right, let's have a go. But, you wonder why they didn't start like that. Whether they kind of set themselves up to take the sting out of the game in that first half and then got themselves, sort of lulled themselves into a kind of third gear. That's what it looked like. But certainly at half-time, Eddie shook them up. And they've come out with much more purpose. Gordon was going on the outside, causing all sorts of problems. And in the end, they got a really good goal. The second goal was a great goal. And, been slightly fortunate with the penalty decisions as well. So they've had a little bit of the rub of the green. But I think when you look at the whole game, I think the 2-2 is a fair reflection of this game.
You talk about that equaliser. Sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say that's a bit of quality that's done you. And that Leverkusen late equaliser, Grimaldo was the one who dummied it. 40 odd yards out, and then sprinted forward to take the return pass and finish. It's just a brilliant goal, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's exactly right, Adrian. You know, when he's done at it, instead of kind of like admiring the fact that he's fooled the Newcastle defence, he's followed it. He's just gone sprinting into the box, and then it's got turned back into his path. He's only about 6-7 yards out when he shoots, and unfortunately Ramsey can't move his arm quick enough to get down to stop it going in. And it's a great goal. As you say, the second goal for Leverkusen and the second goal for Newcastle were really fine goals. And great for the young boy to come off the bench, Miley, and rise and get a goal for himself. Fantastic.
Yeah, he was Smiley Miley, thought he'd won it, but he hadn't in the end. More to come from Alan Pardew, the former Newcastle manager, after a 2-2 draw for Newcastle away to Leverkusen. But it's all over in the Bernabeu. What a result for Manchester City. Mickey Gray.
Incredible result. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2, and all the goals coming in the first half. It was Real Madrid with the first goal on 29 minutes through Rodrigo, his first in 32 games. After good play from Bellingham, Rodrigo slotted the ball low into the bottom corner. The equaliser came on 36 minutes from a corner from Man City. Gvardiol's header was saved, and O'Reilly was there from 2 yards out to pop the ball into the back of the net. And Erling Haaland from the penalty spot slotted his 55th Champions League goal, his 6th of this season, to give City all 3 points and move them up to 4th as it stands in the league. It's finished here at the Bernabeu. Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2.
I could tell you as well, Arsenal have won 3-0 away to Bruges. A brilliant first goal from Noni Madueke, a header from about half a yard for his second, and then Martinelli, a superb finish from him. Bruges 0, Arsenal 300% record continues. Right, let me give you the full-time scores then. In the Champions League, Karabakh 2, Ajax 4, Villarreal 2, Copenhagen 3, Athletic Bilbao 0, PSG 0, Leverkusen 2, Newcastle 2, live on Talksport. Benfica 2, Napoli 0, Dortmund 2, Bodo Glimt 2, Bruges 0, Arsenal 3, Juventus 2, Paphos 0, and Real Madrid 1, Manchester City 2. In the Women's Champions League, Chelsea 6, Roma 0, Manchester United 0, Lyon 3. In the Championship tonight, Bristol City 2, Leicester City 2, Derby 1, Millwall 1. Here at Portman Road, Ipswich 1, Stoke City 0, 5 defeats in 6 for Stoke, and Ipswich up to 4th with that win. And it's just finished, Hull City 2, Wrexham 0. Wrexham's unbeaten run comes to an end. Kiefer Moore had a penalty saved by Ivor Panda. Carl Joseph in for top scorer Joe Gelhardt with the first goal. Ollie McBurney back after a near 2-month layoff with injury. Got a goal after coming on from as a sub, and Hull back to winning ways. They beat Wrexham by 2-0. League 1, Rotherham 0, Blackpool 3. League 2, Crewe 2, Newport 2, Oldham 0, Walsall 1. Sadler's 4 points clear at the top of the table. And in the National League tonight, Carlisle 1, Woking 3 is a surprise result. Live on Talksport then, Leverkusen 2, Newcastle 2. Time now for us to pick our man of the match with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The Here For It hero on Talksport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Alan Pardew, former Newcastle manager, who are you going for?
Well, I'm going to go for the flying winger tonight, Gordon. He scored the penalty. You know, there's a lot of pressure on him, and he took it well, and some great wing play, and then he assisted the second goal. So for an outstanding wide man performance, Gordon.
He hit the post as well, the inside of the post, didn't he? Yeah. In fact, they hit the woodwork a couple of times. Anthony Gordon, now Here For It hero, man of the match from today's game with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.